All right, Terry. All right. Good morning and welcome to the Spokane City Council Legislative Meeting for November 7th. Evening, actually. I'm anticipating it's going to be morning before we're done. But let's please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Council President Beggs.
Here.
Councilmember Bingle.
Here.
Councilmember Cathcart.
Present.
Councilmember Kinnear.
Present.
Councilmember Stratton.
Here.
Councilmember Wilkerson.
Present.
Councilmember Zappone.
Here.
Let the record reflect that all council members are present.
All right. And we have no proclamations tonight, but we do have poetry at the podium. Is Matthew Weaver here? Anywhere? All right. Not seeing Matthew. We'll have to wait for another meeting to hear Kiss Me in Front of the Garbage Goat.
All freestyle.
I did want to take a moment to acknowledge, just informally, a personal privilege, that we lost former City Council member Steve Salvatore in the last week. And he provided great service and always a smile no matter what, whether he agreed or did not agree with you, and served the city well in his time. And I just invite you to join me in a moment of silence for Steve and his family. Thank you, and we look forward to a more formal acknowledgement in the future.
Council President.
Yes.
I also, point of privilege, our 311 folks came in on the weekend to make sure we had a windstorm, as you all recall. 311 folks came in on the weekend to work to make sure that the city was covered and people had somebody to talk to if they had trees downed in the street or damage. And I want to acknowledge their work, their hard work. The rest of the staff who's clearing snow right now, making sure our streets are safe, didn't get all done, but they're out there working their darndest to make sure that we can get from point A to point B safely. So I just want to say a thank you to all of them because they largely go unthanked. So I want to thank them in person and publicly. So thank you all.
Great. And we have one reappointment today. If you'd like to read that, Ms. Pfister.
Yes. Reappointment of Francisco R. Velasquez, MD, SM, to the Health Sciences and Services Authority Board for a 4-year term from October 26, 2022 to October 26, 2026.
All right. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, nay? Any abstentions? All right, Dr. Velasquez is reappointed. He is everywhere. Thank you for your service, Doctor. And if you're interested in serving on a city committee or board, please visit My Spokane and look for the Boards and Commissions page. And it will have the various boards and commission opportunities, including vacancies, what they do, and terms of the existing people, so you can see when a vacancy might be coming up. You apply generally to the mayor's office, and the mayor nominates people for interviews with us and final approval. With that, let's go to the consent agenda.
Reports, contracts, and claims. Number 1, purchases from RWC Group Limited, Tacoma, Washington, for the street department utilizing Washington State contract number 03920 of a 3,200-gallon flusher truck, $327,501.84. B, 2,200-gallon flusher truck, $305,538.91. Number 2, contract renewal 202 with Clean Energy, doing business as Clean Energy Corporation in Washington, Newport Beach, California, for maintenance and operation of the compressed natural gas fueling facility from October 1, 2022 to September 30, 2023, $250,000 annually. Number 3, contract amendment with Solid Waste Systems, Spokane Valley, for daily operations of the refuse trucks, additional $80,000 plus applicable tax. Number 4, administrative reserve increase to the contract with Bacon Concrete Incorporated for the Riverside Avenue Sidewalk Grant to Sherman Project, $10,000. Number 5, contract with CompuNet Incorporated, Grangeville, Idaho, to upgrade the SCADA system at Upper River Dam from November 1, 2022 through October 31, 2023, utilizing Washington State NCPA contract number 01-107, $261,936.47 plus tax. Number 6, recommendation to list the following on the Spokane Register of Historic Places. A, the Edwin and Dorothy Matthews House, 1326 South Ballou Road. B, the Studio Apartments, 1102 West 6th Avenue. 7, collective bargaining agreements with A, Spokane Police Lieutenants and Captains Association for 2022. B, Managerial and Professional Association for 2022 through 2026, exempt A. C, Managerial and Professional Association for 2022 through 2026, Managerial B. 8, acceptance of Environmental Protection Agency Brownfield Community-Wide Assessment Grant Award and corresponding cooperative agreement, $500,000 revenue. Number 9, contract amendment extension with Stantec Consulting Services Incorporated, Spokane, to provide grant writing and implementation to include the work of the EPA grant award and a cooperative agreement pursuant to OPR 2020-0603 from June 30, 2023 through December 30, 2026, $467,000. Number 10, contracts with Spokane Neighborhood Action Partners from January 1, 2023 through December 31, 2023, utilizing Community Development Block Grant Funds for A, Essential Home Repair Program, $500,000, B, Single Family Rehabilitation Program, $1,484,879. Number 11, contracts with TD&H Engineering Spokane for the design of the grind and overlays for A, 29th Washington Monroe, $538,700 plus a 10% administrative reserve. B, Market Monroe 29th Avenue, $398,400 plus a 10% administrative reserve. Number 12, report of the Mayor of Penn claims and payments of previously approved obligations, including those of Parks and Library through October 21, 2022. Total $12,852,036.74. With Parks and Library claims approved with respect to boards. Warrants excluding Parks and Library total $12,294,430.71. B, claims and payments of previously approved obligations, including those of Parks and Library through October 28, 2022, total $7,787,782.21. With Parks and Library claims approved with respect to boards, warrants excluding Parks and Library total $7,356,571.24. C, payroll claims of previously approved obligations through October 29, 2022, $8,264,021.21. Number 13, City Council meeting minutes for October 17, October 27, and November 3, 2022. Number 14, state lobbying contracts for November 1, 2022 through October 31, 2025 with the options of 2 one-year renewals. With A, NEC Federici, $126,000, $42,000 annually. B, Luke Esser, $126,000, $42,000 annually. Number 15, outside council contract amendment with James B. King and Evans Craven and Lackey PS in the matter of Benjamin T. Gideon versus City of Spokane, additional $50,000. Total contract amount $100,000. Number 16, contract with Washington State Department of Commerce to accept grant funds to support the right-of-way project at Camp Hope with City to provide a project position through June of 2024 for the implementation of CMIS data tracking for a row, $372,193. Number 17, contract amendment with Washington State Department of Commerce to accept additional consolidated homeless grant funding to be distributed to existing grantees, $358,467. Number 18, joint city and county 5-year funding commitment to the Salvation Army Way Out Center as a transitional and bridge shelter for the region approved by Spokane County Resolution Number 21-0397 in June 2021, $427,973 revenue.
All right, we've had one person from the public sign up to testify, and that's Emma Thompson. And that's going to be online. Emma, if you're there, if you could hit, or is she on the video? Okay. If you want to unmute yourself, Emma, we're ready for you. We can see you, but we can't hear you. There you are. Can you speak to us? We can't hear you.
We still can't hear you for some reason, Emma. It looks like you're unmuted on our end, though. Okay, thank you. She just said she's having a microphone issue in the chat.
Okay. Maybe we should
She said,
Go
go
on.
ahead and proceed.
All right. All right. Thank you, Emma, and hopefully we'll catch you next time. All those in favor of adopting the consent agenda as read indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, nay? Any abstentions? All right. Consent agenda is approved. And we're going to go a little bit out of order because we have the pleasure of having the mayor here today who's going to introduce her nominee, Kimberly McCollum, as the Director of Neighborhood Housing and Human Services. So Mayor Woodward and Kim, come on down.
Well, thank you, Council President and council members. I am thrilled, here, Kim, to appoint Kim McCollum in the position of Director for Neighborhood Housing and Human Services. Many of you are familiar with Kim. She has spent the past 2 decades with the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. Kim was assigned to the Seattle Regional Office, worked out of Spokane during that time, and most recently as a Senior Management Analyst. Prior to HUD, many of you also know that Kim worked for the City of Spokane for more than 6 years, establishing the city's homeless information system. That was a huge task at the time, I know. Kim's extensive experience with HUD will be invaluable to us as we manage existing federal grants and seek new opportunities to add affordable housing options to Spokane. So again, thank you for your confirmation vote of Kim tonight.
All right. Any council comments or questions? Councilmember Bingle.
Yeah, we're excited to have you. It'll be nice to have somebody in this position with a lot of HUD experience that will help us make sure that we don't miss out on any dollars, that we're hitting our timeliness tests and those kinds of things. Also, we got an email from the Northeast Community Center with some high praise for you. And so from my district, you are well respected. And so I look forward to working with you in the years to come. So.
Thank you, Councilmember Bingle. I'm honored to be here. And yes, the Northeast District I've worked with for a long time, and they're fabulous as well. So thank you.
All right. Councilmember Wilkerson.
So I have, and I asked Kim this in her interview, what sparked her to want to come on and take on this challenging opportunity?
I have always had a love for this community. I was away for 6 years when I had to work in the Seattle office, and I begged to come back to be able to work here. And what sparked me, Councilmember Wilkerson, is just the fact that I think between my, and I've said this before, between my HUD knowledge and my history in the city, I hope that I can help all of you achieve some of the goals that we all want to achieve. Plus, I'm really just passionate about a lot of the objectives that are going through the neighborhoods. So thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I'll just say that I've only heard great praise from other people around. They're really excited. So credit to you, Mayor, for appointing Kim. And thanks for choosing us, Kim. And with that, prepare to vote. All right. Congratulations.
Thank you all of you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
All right. Let's go back to our special budget ordinances.
Ordinance C 36304, amending ordinance number C 36161, passed by the City Council December 13, 2021, and entitled an ordinance adopting the annual budget of the City of Spokane for 2022, making appropriations to the various funds of the City of Spokane government for the fiscal year ending December 31, 2022, and providing it shall take effect immediately upon passage and declared an emergency, and appropriating funds in miscellaneous grants fund number 1, increased revenue by $18,700. A of the increased revenue, $18,700 is from the Administrative Office of the Courts, AV grant. Number 2, increase appropriation by $18,700. A of the increased appropriation, $18,700, will be used toward upgrading AV equipment for court participants. This action arises from the need to accept newly awarded AOC grant funds.
All right. We have one person from the public requesting testimony, and that's Justin Heller. Come on down, Justin.
Yeah, name's Justin Haller. I live in District 1. I'm opposed to any spending. Make do with what you have. That's what everyone here does. We make do with what we have.
Thank you. Any council commentary? All right, I'll just note for the record, this is a grant given us by the court, so it's not going to cost City of Spokane coffers and should help the courts work more effectively and hopefully save us money. Prepare to vote. All right, that passes 7-0. Next.
Ordinance C 36305, General Fund, Number 1, increase appropriation by $6,620.50. 2 of the increase in appropriation, $6,620.50, will be provided solely as an interpreter cost reimbursement in the legal department via the AOC grant revenue already received. A, this is an increase to the overall appropriation level in the general fund. This action arises from the need to apply reimbursement grant funds to the associated expense.
All right, there's no requested public testimony. Any council testimony? All right, prepare to vote. That passes 7-0. Next.
Ordinance C 36306, General Fund, Number 1, decrease the appropriation for an assistant prosecutor position by $16,000 in the legal department. 2, increase appropriation for janitorial services by $16,000. A, there is no change to the overall appropriation level in the general fund. This action arises from the need to appropriately fund the ABM janitorial contract.
All right, again, there's no public testimony. Any council commentary? Prepare to vote. All right, that passes 7-0. Next.
Ordinance C 36317, Public Safety Personnel and Crime Reduction Fund. Number 1, add 8 classified police radio dispatcher 1 positions from 0 to 8 and increase the associated appropriation for salary and benefits by $150,000. A, this is an increase to the overall appropriation level in the Public Safety Personnel and Crime Reduction Fund. This action arises from the need to set up a police dispatch unit to assume the triage responsibilities previously provided by SHREC.
All right, there's no requested public commentary. By way of some background, City of Spokane residents and businesses pay sales tax for the 911, and for years, they handled all the calls coming in, but recently they informed us they weren't going to completely handle them, and so they're either going to charge us a lot more money than this, or we're going to have to hire our own people to do it. So we have a lot of dispatchers who already have started doing this work, and we're hiring more to do it. Is there any other council commentary? All right, prepare to vote. All right, that passes 7-0. Got more.
Ordinance number C 36322, I'll read in its entirety. An ordinance amending ordinance number C 36161 passed by the City Council December 13, 2021, and entitled an ordinance adopting the annual budget of the City of Spokane for 2022, making appropriations of the various funds of the City of Spokane government for the fiscal year ending December 31, 2022, and providing it shall take effect immediately upon passage and declared an emergency. Whereas subsequent to the adoption of the 2022 budget ordinance number C 36161 as above entitled, and which passed the City Council December 13, 2021, it is necessary to make changes in the appropriations of the Affordable and Supportive Housing Fund, which changes could not have been anticipated or known at the time of making such budget ordinance. And whereas this ordinance has been on file in the City Clerk's office for 5 days, now therefore, the City of Spokane does ordain Section 1 that in the budget of the Affordable and Supportive Housing Fund and the budget annexed thereto with reference to the fund, the following changes be made. Number 1, increase the appropriation by $1 million to support the housing and housing-related supportive services funding recommendations approved by City Council on August 1, 2022, COPR 2022-0559. A, of the increased appropriation, $975,000 is provided solely for contractual services provided by subrecipients that are responsible for distributing funding for affordable housing. B, of the increased appropriation, $25,000 is provided solely for the city's administration of affordable housing initiatives. C, the increased appropriation is funded by the Affordable and Supportive Housing Fund's unappropriated fund balance. Section 2, it is therefore by the City Council declared that an urgency and emergency exists for making the changes set forth herein, such urgency and emergency arising from the need to increase the appropriation in order to distribute funding for affordable housing initiatives, and because of such need and urgency and emergency exists for the passage of this ordinance, and also because the same makes an appropriation, it shall take effect and be in force immediately upon its passage.
All right, nobody's requested to speak on this. Essentially, earlier this year, we did an RFP for $10 million of affordable, permanently affordable housing in the community. We found the contractors to do that. And this is allocating, this one and the following one are allocating about $4 million for that. $6 million was allocated already from ARPA. So these contracts have already been determined. We're just changing the money from one fund to another. Any council commentary? Prepare to vote. All right, that passes 7-0.
Ordinance number C-36-323, I'll read it in its entirety. An ordinance amending ordinance number C-36-161 passed by the City Council December 13, 2021, and entitled an ordinance adopting the annual budget of the City of Spokane for 2022, making appropriations of various funds of the City of Spokane government for the fiscal year ending December 31, 2022, and providing it shall take effect immediately upon passage and declaring an emergency. Whereas subsequent to the adoption of the 2022 budget, ordinance number C-36-161 is above entitled, and which passed the City Council December 13, 2021, it is necessary to make changes in the appropriations of the Housing Local Sales Tax Fund, which changes could not have been anticipated or known at the time of making such budget ordinance. And whereas this ordinance has been on file in the City Clerk's office for 5 days now, therefore the City of Spokane does ordain, Section 1, that in the budget of the Housing Local Sales Tax Fund and the budgeted annex thereto with reference to the fund, the following changes be made. Number 1, increase the appropriation by $3,100,000 to support the housing and housing-related supportive services funding recommendations approved by City Council on August 1, 2022, see OPR 2022-0559. A, of the increased appropriation, $3 million is provided solely for contractual services provided by subrecipients that are responsible for distributing funding for affordable housing. B, of the increased appropriation, $100,000 is provided solely for the city's administration of affordable housing initiatives. C, the increased appropriation is funded by the Housing Local Sales Tax Fund's unappropriated fund balance. Section 2, it is therefore by the City Council declared that an urgency and emergency exists for making the changes set forth herein, such urgency and emergency arising from the need to increase the appropriation in order to distribute funding for affordable housing initiatives, and because of such need, an urgency and emergency exists for the passage of this ordinance, and also because the same makes an appropriation, it shall take effect and be enforced immediately upon its passage.
All right, very similar to the last one, just from a different fund. No public comment, any council commentary? Prepare to vote. All right, that also passes 7-0. Next one.
Okay. Ordinance number C-36-324, I'll also read in its entirety. An ordinance amending ordinance number C-36-161 passed by the City Council December 13, 2021, and entitled an ordinance adopting the annual budget of the City of Spokane for 2022, making appropriations to the various funds of the City of Spokane government for the fiscal year ending December 31, 2022, and providing it shall take effect immediately upon passage, and declared an emergency. Whereas subsequent to the adoption of the 2022 budget, ordinance number C-36-161 is above entitled, and which passed the City Council December 13, 2021, it is necessary to make changes in the appropriations of the general fund, which changes could not have been anticipated or known at the time of making such budget ordinance. And whereas this ordinance has been on file in the City Clerk's office for 5 days now, therefore the City of Spokane does ordain, Section 1, that in the budget of the Community and Human Services Special Revenue Fund and the budget annex thereto, with reference to the Community and Human Services Special Revenue Fund, the following changes be made. Number 1, increase appropriation by $372,194 and create no more than 2 project positions and necessary equipment to support the required data tracking and reporting for the Camp Hope decommissioning initiative. A, of the increased appropriation, 100% or $372,194 shall be funded from Washington Department of Commerce.
Again, there's no public testimony. This is allowing the city to accept this money from the Department of Commerce, which will be used to assist in rehousing the people at Camp Hope, basically connecting them to our database, making sure we can keep track of them and what services they're getting. Is there any council commentary? Prepare to vote. All right, that also passes 7-0. And just a comment for people, these ones where the clerk had to read them all out loud, that was because they were just added today and they weren't in the packet. So that's why we're trying to create some transparency even when we're acting on an urgent matter with something that just came to our attention today. Continue on.
Resolution 2022-0099, ratifying the mayor's October 28, 2022 executive declaration of civil emergency or disaster.
All right, and this is a reprise of emergency declaration from last week that allowed the mayor to sign a contract with the Salvation Army to operate the Trent shelter without going through an RFP because of the urgency of changing contractors. This extends the same power to the mayor to sign a contract with Salvation Army to operate the Cannon shelter. Any council commentary? Prepare to vote. All right, passes 7-0.
Ordinance C 36299, establishing the city of Spokane as a zone free of nuclear armaments, enacting a new chapter 18.09 of the Spokane Municipal Code.
All right, we do have some public testimony on this one, and I'll just give my little talk. Most of you have testified before here, but even though we did some clapping at the beginning of the meeting, once we're actually in ordinances and resolutions, we don't do clapping or cheering or booing one way or the other, so that it's a safe space. You'll have up to 3 minutes. This timer will keep track of it for me. It'll turn yellow when there's 1 minute left and red when your time is up. I ask you to direct your comments to me as the meeting chair and not make disparaging remarks about anyone up here or in the audience or anyone else, and keep your focus to the topic at hand. We do have open forum later tonight. And so with that, I'll list off Tom Charles, come on up. And after Tom Charles, it's going to be Joshua Awesome and then William Hewlings. And as I call your names, you can come down and be staged here in the front row, ready to go. And then we'll just do it 3 people at a time. Welcome, Tom.
My name is Tom Charles. I'm associated with Veterans for Peace in Pax Christi. Once again, we are asking for your support of this ordinance. We believe it makes a statement, not only to our city and our state, but even to the world, that all nations need to work together to ban nuclear weapons. Our federal government is already aware of at least 10 different initiatives to reduce and eventually eliminate nuclear weapons. One example of these are the START treaties that have been in effect for over 30 years. They have allowed Russia and the United States to reduce their nuclear arsenals by over 80%. Think of that. We need to encourage our government to accelerate and expand that treaty to all nuclear nations. And we believe that by taking action and banning nuclear weapons in cities around the world, that we are making a strong statement and taking a huge step in that direction. We have found that dozens of cities across America and the world have already banned nuclear weapons, and many more wish to do the same. As a result, we hope to send copies of our ordinance that has passed legal muster to those cities through our national organizations. We hope to become a catalyst for this movement, and with your help, we can turn away from the weapons systems that have placed the entire world in the crosshairs of nuclear destruction. I know I have stated it before, but with a fraction of the over $10 trillion we have already spent on nuclear weapons alone, we could have made huge inroads into reducing homelessness, we could have eliminated hunger, we could have provided universal health care for our citizens, and we could have repaired much of our infrastructure, bridges, highways, gas, and water lines of our country. Instead, America and other nuclear nations of the world have chosen to build and maintain weapon systems that pose the single greatest threat to the planet today. To go through life under the continuous threat of nuclear war is a dreadful way to live, especially for our children. The nuclear nations of the world need to change, and our country can lead and encourage that change. An ordinance such as this can be a significant step, not just for our city, but for all the cities of the world that hope to make this world a better place. History always records massive efforts of preparations for war and violence and asks, why didn't they stop it? Why didn't they speak out? Don't let history say that about us. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Joshua Awesome, and then William Hewlings, and then Rick Bocook. Welcome.
Hello, everybody. Well, I really can't say too much more beyond what he just said, but I do feel that the future is not going to be a nuclear world, and that we need to disarm our massive nations because we just keep on fighting amongst ourselves. There's no real purpose, and in the past, the only uses that we have seen of nuclear arms have been a bullying tactic after basically wars were over, and the destruction was so severe. So I do not support having nuclear arms in our country, and I hope in the future we won't. Thank you.
Thanks, Joshua. William. And after Williams, Rick Bocook, and then Hollis Higgins.
Good evening, City Council.
Welcome.
My name is Will. I live downtown Spokane. In 2018, Councilwoman Kate Burke tried passing something similar. I don't understand it. Resolution 2018-0070 establishing the city of Spokane as a nuclear weapons-free community. Like, why would, like, first off, I've told you guys I'm a veteran. This right here is a nuclear-powered aircraft carrier. You see that? Okay. I served almost 5 years on board this carrier. I helped build this carrier, Newport News, Virginia, sailed around the world. Very proud of my service. But now, in Spokane, with the threat of nuclear war, Joe Biden, who's a Democrat, we could be at nuclear war, and he's going to be the one to cause it. They said Trump was going to do that. I mean, and now there's all kinds of other things we could be talking about, but instead we're focusing and having testimony on making the city nuclear free, which I don't understand necessarily. I mean, I read through that, but it just seems kind of nonsense. Because Kate Burke and Ms. Stratton up there, Councilwoman Stratton, Mike Fagan's the only one that didn't vote on it last time. So I don't know, like, a few years later, now we got this. But I'm opposed to this because I think nuclear power and nuclear is a good way to go. I mean, I don't know necessarily the weapons part because it is scary. Like I said, I was on a carrier that had nuclear weapons. And what's scary now is there's so many people that are so pro this Ukraine, and I don't want war. I spent a lot of time over in the Persian Gulf enforcing the no-fly zone. Saddam Hussein. Yeah, and you know, now you guys, yeah. Anyways, thank you.
Thanks, Will, for coming down. Rick Bocook, and then Hollis, and then John Alder.
Greetings. It's Native American Heritage Month, and when you talked about this a couple of weeks ago, somebody from the Spokane tribe brought up the uranium mine. And so I see where this is beneficial, especially in Spokane. The uranium in that mine wiped out a lot of the people on the Spokane Indian Reservation. So anything that passes that benefits them and brings awareness to them, and then that includes whenever they have a forum in some of the colleges, I think people should go and listen to them. So I'm definitely seeing the advantages of this, especially for the Spokane Indian Reservation. because I don't think anybody's really talked to very many people there, but the uranium mine over there affected more the women than it did the men because they cleaned the clothes and stuff like that. So it's my uncle, well, I worked in the scrapyard business for quite a while, and we was exposed to all kinds of poisonings. And my uncle used to always say this one statement about people that are in control of things, about people like myself. He says, flesh is a cheap commodity. And I think people should remember that. It's a cheap commodity. And that's the way they looked at the Native Americans on the Spokane Indian Reservation. They're a cheap commodity. And they look at poor people as cheap commodities anytime there's pollution involved. Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming down, Rick. Hollis, then John, and then Ray.
Good evening, Council. Council President Beggs, thank you very much for bringing this ordinance to the front of our community. My name is Hollis Higgins. I am a resident of Emerson Garfield neighborhood. I've lived in Spokane for 28 years, starting off in Browns Addition, then moving over there to Emerson Garfield. I'm here to speak in favor of passage of the ordinance after 3 years of hard work to bring it before you again as an ordinance. Some people say that the best defense is a good offense from the sports metaphors that we hear. And my opinion is that that just makes everybody offensive when you do that. The game has changed. It's not straightforward anymore. The treaties have been dissolved by major countries. And so the deterrence that we used to have is not there anymore. It's just not. You can see that by what's going on in the Ukraine. Mutually assured destruction, you would think, would have been a deterrent that would stop anybody from proceeding to develop these weapons. So now, the game was to kick the nuclear football through the goalpost, and then they moved the goalpost by getting rid of the treaties, and then they removed the goalpost. There is no goalpost anymore, so the game is over. The game cannot be won. Just remember that it only takes one nuclear weapon going off to catalyze all the rest of them to go off. And here's an example that I heard about the other day. If you drop one nuclear weapon into Yellowstone caldera, you will make the world a nuclear winter wasteland forever. So maturity is recognizing your limitations. I would say we've reached our limitations now, and I would say that bringing this resolution forward is a way of recognizing our limitations, and I see more maturity here in this room today than I do at the Department of Defense or the Pentagon. Spokane leads the rest of the nation in caring and concern, compassion, and cooperation. I want to recognize you all for keeping that in the forefront. Thank you.
Thank you, Hollis. John, and then Ray, and then George Taylor.
Good evening, I'm John Alder. I've been in Spokane long enough to remember the old bomb drills at Bryant Elementary, plus being number 9 on this Soviet hit list because of Fairchild and what they had out there. So besides the threat of nuclear war and the threat of Ukraine's nuclear plants, we could look right here in our own backyard. Go down there to Hanford, the birthplace of the nuclear bomb, continuing to leak radioactive waste into the Columbia River, which does flow into the Spokane River. Plus the downwinders, you got equal radiation poisoning and much cancer from that still continues from the time that bomb was built. Then we go to Marshall Islands, the unfortunate site of bomb tests that wiped out 2 Highlands, uninhabitable for 23,000 years. They too have had to come over here to get medical care because of continuous cancer that affects them. And last but not least, as aforementioned, over here 50 miles northwest in Fort Washington, uranium mining. And according to stories we heard, the miners in the beginning were not given the safety equipment they give now. And because of that, a lot of that uranium does get detract home in the cars elsewhere. So therefore, that we are continuing to this day to lose many of our friends in the Spokane tribe, including most notably Darlene McCarty and Dave Aberson, two beloved figures in this society. Nuclear arms are totally useless. It's time to divert the solar power.
Thank you, John. Ray, and then George Taylor, and then Rusty Nelson on the phone.
Good evening. I'm Raymond Thorne. I'm a resident of Spokane. I live on the South Hill. I'm an Army veteran and a member of Spokane Veterans for Peace. I'm speaking tonight in favor of this ordinance. We, as human beings, have lived under the threat of nuclear war and the associated massive loss of life since 1945. Yet we as citizens are given very little opportunity to comment on this weighty issue. I believe this ordinance does that, and I believe it sends a message as well to our national leadership to take a step back from nuclear weapons and oblivion. Thank you for your consideration.
Thanks, Ray. George Taylor.
Good evening, Council, Council President. My name is George Taylor. I'm speaking in favor of passing this important ordinance tonight for a nuclear-free zone in Spokane. The importance of this legislation is that it codifies what this council voted by majority some time ago, as referred to by one of our previous speakers. And it's very important, in our opinion, as Veterans for Peace, Chapter 35, of which I now serve as Vice President, to pass this resolution tonight, because it puts teeth into that resolution. It makes the resolution into the law of the city, which is another step forward. I also live on South Hill, as does Ray. I have two grandchildren in the city. One is a junior at Lewis and Clark now, Daniel, and the other, my granddaughter Sarah, who's a recent graduate of St. George's School. My grandson recently shared with me that he believes, he said, "Grandpa, none of my friends believe that we are going to live past the age of 40. And that really upset me. And we had a grandpa-grandson conversation about that lasted some time. But the importance of that conversation, I said, why do you believe that? And he cited three reasons: global warming, nuclear weapons, and pandemic disease. I tried to assure him that we could mitigate all three of those things and make a possible future for him. Some issues that come before this council are local. They have to do with streets, picking up garbage, safety. Other issues go past those boundaries and concern all of the citizens of this country, this state, and world. Our organization, Spokane Veterans for Peace, has the mission of exposing the true costs of war, and Tom has cited the trillions of dollars, in our opinion, we have wasted on the development and upgrading of nuclear weapons. This ordinance will send the right message. It's of symbolic importance, but it's important anyway because it sends the right message and is another step forward to put Spokane on the right hand of history. Please pass this ordinance by unanimous vote.
Thank you, George. And then Rusty Nelson, we have you by phone if you want to hit *3. All right, Rusty, welcome to Spokane City Council.
Thank you very much, Mr. President and council members. I don't believe that it's my responsibility at this point to ask you to pass this ordinance. I think you have plenty of reason to do that. What I would like to do is thank you for taking on this job, which has been left to local entities around our country because of the failure of the federal government to even acknowledge the damage that nuclear weapons and preparing for nuclear war has done to our country and to the world for in my entire lifetime. I was 13 months old when the bombs were dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. My father was in the Pacific, in the Navy at that time. And the lie has continued to this moment that nuclear weapons will make us safe. The federal government and the other nuclear powers have ignored the law, international law banning nuclear weapons, and because of that, it is up to us in Spokane and other cities to stand up and say we cannot endure the threat, the continuing threat of nuclear weapons. And I thank you for putting us in this position tonight to make a statement that we hope will resonate around the country. Thank you.
Thank you, Rusty.
I'm
All right. Any council commentary?
Council President, I think we have one more who would like to testify.
Did you sign up? No. I didn't know this was going to come up. Yeah. Yeah. So we have to go by signups, otherwise we're not able to manage it. But you can come back and talk at open forum at a future week. Thanks.
You told me last time, because I wanted to comment on this, that I needed to sign up on open forum. I will give up my open forum if you let me speak on it now.
No,
Yeah, you told me that.
you have to, no, we can't go out that, so we'll have to talk offline about that. So I'm not sure where the miscommunication is, but you can speak at open forum next time about it if you want.
No, I'm signed up for open forum today.
No, I know. You can't talk about it on open forum today because it was on the agenda, but in the future you can.
You did tell me that.
You know what? We're gonna have to talk about it offline because it's just, that's between you and me. And I'm happy to talk with you about it. Councilmember Cathcart.
Yeah. So first off, just I would say to the folks who brought this forward, I had a chance to talk with them and meet with them and talk to them about it. It's undeniable the passion they have on this topic and how strongly they believe in it, and I commend them for that. They're not wrong in the sense of nuclear weapons are certainly dangerous and a threat, and a whole lot of really bad things can come out of that. But just a couple of things I just want to raise. First and foremost, for the folks watching, I won't comment on what are our priorities as a city, what are our qualifications as a body to make decisions like this. You can go online, you can read our bios, you can decide if we're qualified enough to make these decisions. You can look at the issues happening all around us, homelessness, crime, et cetera, and decide if this is the priority that we should be focused on tonight. We did defer a decision on taxes to make room for things like this tonight. So it is having an effect on our business. But is this something that is a priority? I'll leave that to you to decide. But a couple of things that were brought up tonight that I just want to say or respond to. One individual said the future isn't nuclear. And I disagree. I think if we really want a clean energy future, the future is nuclear. That is absolutely the way we get to a clean energy future. And I think to ignore nuclear or look past nuclear is to our own detriment. This is the only way, probably in the next 50 years, we are going to achieve some level of clean energy. And I am very trepidatious to make a decision here on a local body outside of our general purview, outside of, you decide if it's within our expertise, to make a decision that could have an effect ultimately on our ability to achieve that clean energy future, to achieve better outcomes in the future. Nuclear power has changed dramatically over the last 60, 70 years. In fact, Idaho is looking at bringing potentially 10 reactors online in the next few years. France, which at one point had said they were going to eliminate nuclear, is now going the other direction. and they're actually looking to put more nuclear power plants online. Small cell nuclear is probably the future. So again, I commend the passion of the folks who brought this forward. I completely understand their concerns, and I probably in some part agree with them. But if we're going to think about transcending, as one individual said, transcending local issues to focus on national or international issues, then I would suggest there are a lot of other priorities we could also be looking at. Number one on my list is inflation. That is killing our neighborhoods, killing the people that we represent. And so I would focus there. If we're going to start talking about federal priorities, let's look there. That's an area that I think we should really focus on. So again, you decide where should our attention be focused. I'll leave that to you. You decide, are we qualified to make these decisions? I'll leave that to you. Tonight, I'm just not willing to take a vote that I think potentially puts our future, frankly, at risk in a different way, an unintended way, than the folks who brought this forward. I think nuclear is the path to clean energy, and we're going to have to embrace it and figure out how to pursue it further. And I just don't want to take a vote that the unintended consequence of which could be that we bypass our ability to pursue that. So I will vote no tonight. Thank you.
Any other council commentary? Yeah, I'll just speak briefly because I've spoken before about it. But just to be clear, I know there are some people who are opposed to nuclear weapons and nuclear power, but there's nothing in this ordinance that interferes with nuclear power. It doesn't address nuclear power. It's only addresses nuclear weapons. It does three things. It bans nuclear weapons within the city of Spokane. It asks us to have an investment policy that would focus our investments on things that are productive in our community and not nuclear weapons producers. And then in our procurement, buying services and goods, that we would choose producers wherever they are that are not engaged in the nuclear weapons industry, unless that's our only option for the product. So it's very limited. It seems to be legal, and it actually has a practical effect, especially combined with other cities, and it's also symbolic, but it has nothing to do with nuclear power. With that, prepare to vote. All right, that passes 5-2. And that gets us to first reading ordinances. We don't have any commentary for it, but we have a couple to read.
Okay. Ordinance C 36308, granting a non-exclusive franchise to use the public right-of-way to provide non-cable telecommunications service to the public to Intermountain Infrastructure Group LLC, subject to certain conditions and duties as further provided. And ordinance C 36309, adopting a 6-year citywide capital improvement program for the years 2023 through 2028, and amending the citywide capital improvement program as referenced in Appendix C of the City of Spokane Comprehensive Plan. Further action is deferred on the first reading ordinances.
All right. And that brings us to hearings.
Hearing item H2, beginning hearing on proposed 2023 budget.
And I don't believe we have anyone signed up for hearing 2. Is there a motion to continue the hearing until November 21st?
So moved.
Is Jessica?
Oh, are you going to, come on down, Jessica, sorry. You're going to, sorry to steal your thunder.
No worries.
Got ahead of ourselves.
Okay, typically we do a staff presentation really quick for hearings, so.
No, and take as much time as you want. I've lost track of when we've already presented and we're just doing it, so thanks for all your work on this.
Hey, Jessica.
Yeah.
I'm still getting your mail.
I get yours sometimes too. I'm always like, oh, I didn't see that.
We have to meet at the end of the week and switch.
Yeah. All right, so this is a brief presentation, recap for you folks, because 2 weeks ago, Jacob Miller presented revenue sources. Thursday morning, Tanya presented a recap of the 2023 proposed budget as well. So hopefully we can move along here. So I'm just going to go over citywide budget for 2023, the general fund budget for 2023, and then just next steps. So in looking at citywide, a revenue budget there, categorically we see charges for services, and taxes to be the top two sources of revenue, while the enterprise funds, which are typically our utilities, solid waste, things like that, and internal service funds, which are more of our professional services that we provide in-house, they realize 90% of those charges for services, as you'd expect. And then also expectantly, the general fund receives around 68% of those taxes. When you take a wider lens to the citywide resources and you include fund balance or retained earnings, they become the third top source of resources available to the city. So of the $1.3 billion that is estimated for resources at the city, $1.2 billion is budgeted in expense. And these planned expenditures are across all funds here while we're looking at citywide, with enterprise and special revenue funds making up 58% of that $1.2 billion. So of the budgeted expenditures, approximately 20% are for salary and wages, while 28% is for services. And then of those services, 28% is for contractual services, which is typically just essentially an outsourcing of our city services. 14% is our own city utility tax, and 29% is for risk, insurance, and premiums. So those are the top players. When charges from and to itself are removed, the citywide expenditure budget actually drops to $874 million. As for staffing, the mayor has proposed 55 new positions in the 23 budget, 30 being firefighters to help meet the priorities of the current CBA. But because fire dispatch positions were eliminated in 2022 with the transition to SHREC, that is why the net change you see there is only 51. So moving on to the general fund. The general fund, as expected, again, is 81% of the resources available to this fund are driven by taxes. Of that tax revenue, 34% is from retail sales tax and use tax, 27% is from city utility tax, and 26% is from property taxes. So this slide compares the revenue categories in the general fund over time. After 2020 actuals, which is the far left there, when we exclude CARES dollars and a neutral bond refinance that occurred in that year, we can see the total general fund revenue has grown on average of 4.8% over the years. And then in looking at the taxes category, I'd like to point out that although the dollars are increasing, the rate at which they're increasing is actually decreasing, if that makes sense. So from 2020 to 2021, taxes increased at a rate of 10%. And even though the 2022 adopted budget that's there in that column estimated approximately only a 1.5 increase, we're experiencing closer to a 4.5% increase. So really that estimated far right column, top right, that 3.8% increase for 2023 is actually lower than what the city is currently experiencing. And then on this side, you'll see a breakdown of the general fund expenditures by fund that is benefited. Not surprisingly, public safety is receiving more than half of the estimated spend. The other funds, that pie there with 14%, that's really several departments who have budgets of $3 million or less. So again, that was pretty quick, as mostly needed as a recap. The mayor's proposed budget book and the accompanying line item detail are available online for consumption for anyone. And then the next steps are to approve the property tax ordinance so that the city can file the levy certification with the county by November 30th. The CIP ordinance that holds the capital budget, its hearing is next week. And then the budget hearings like today will continue week to week until December 5th. And that is the quick presentation.
Thank you. Any questions from council members?
Jessica, how many new positions?
55 new positions, 30 of those being firefighters.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Now, I think I was asking a motion to continue the budget hearing until November
And I said so moved.
14th, and you moved?
I moved.
Second.
And there's a second. Any discussion?
I'll second that.
All right, there's Councilmember Stratton beat you to it. But all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, nay? Any abstentions? All right, that's continued. And then that brings us to hearing number 3.
H3, hearing set by emergency ordinance C 36276, passed by City Council on September 12, 2022, imposing an immediate moratorium regarding building permit applications for residential structures in the Latah, Hangman, and Grandview Thorpe neighborhoods.
All right. And someone told me earlier that Spencer Gardner was going to kick that off.
Oh, there he is.
There he is. He's right here.
I'm here. I don't have anything to present. Did you have questions for me, or?
Just outlining the purpose of the moratorium and how long it lasts.
Oh, well, so the moratorium was passed September 19th, September 12th. That action was taken by council. The moratorium itself prohibits the issuance of building permits for new residential units in a defined area of the city, basically Latah Valley, and it would expire March 11th, I think is the date. It's March. So, I mean, those are the overall details.
And the purpose was to allow the city staff to finish the impact fee analysis and get that passed. When does that anticipated to be done?
Right. So the sort of the logical nexus for applying the moratorium, according to the ordinance, is giving the city time to update its impact fees so that the development that's occurring in that area is paying for the infrastructure that's needed to serve it. We, city staff, are currently working on updates to those impact fees. So the transportation impact fees under our code go to a committee that is composed of representatives from the real estate industry, building industry, neighborhood advocates, civic organizations, those kinds of things. That committee has a date, I think November 15th is the first meeting. I'd have to check my calendar, but it is next week sometime. And that's the first meeting. I believe there's a plan to have 3 meetings with that committee, but we anticipate that by the end of the year, early next year, there should be a proposal ready to go to Plan Commission. And then once that goes through the Plan Commission, that would come to council for consideration. So March is a completely realistic goal for the transportation impact fees.
Okay. Any other question? Councilmember Cathcart.
Yeah, just 2 questions. One, is the goal of the committee, this is the first I've heard of the committee, so is the goal of the committee to form some sort of consensus, or is it just to provide some different viewpoints from which we will make a decision? Kind of what's that? And then secondarily, in terms of this hearing today, did you get a chance to connect with James in terms of what our decisions are?
I did. And so to outline the decisions that are available, there would not be an opportunity for council action to rescind the moratorium tonight. That would be a separate ordinance that would have to come forward at a separate council meeting. Generally, there is ratification of the findings. So that is one thing that council could act on tonight. Let's see, what was your first question? I'm sorry.
About the committee.
The committee.
The role of the committee.
Yeah, so the committee under our code, if we make a change or propose a change to the transportation impact fees, that has to go to this committee that's composed as I described. The committee itself, I guess I can't speak to the intent for why the ordinance was written that way. I think the purpose is to get everybody around the table to talk about the fees. I am not certain as far as when it comes to council for consideration whether there will be multiple different proposals or, one proposal maybe at different levels.
Okay.
And that might be something that's an outcome of the committee. But the intent is to really get everybody around the table to talk.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Councilmember Bringle.
Yeah, and Councilwoman Kinnear and I are on that committee, and so, yeah, next Tuesday, the 15th, we'll be meeting for the first time.
Yep.
Any other questions? All right, Spencer, thanks for coming.
Thank you.
And we have plenty of people who want to give testimony on that. And the first one is Michael Lindsley, I believe, followed by Adam Marshall, and then Becky Dickerhoof. So again, folks, if I've called your name, you can come on down to the front row just to ease the time in transit. Welcome.
Thank you, Brian. My name's Michael Lindsley. I want to thank all the council members for your service, and Nadine, our mayor, for your service for the community. My grandchildren are sixth-generation Italian immigrants in Spokane, Washington. My great-grandfather-in-law had the first house on the bluff. It was Dr. Plastino. My current residence is that we live in, we have 3 homes up in the Grandview Thorpe neighborhood. And we live at the west end of 21st Avenue. I'm the last house. I'm not against development. My sister-in-law is the real estate broker for Harlan Douglas. He's a pretty good sized developer in the state of Washington. And Kimmel and Haggard and the Lucas family is one of our relative families up around the water tower in our neighborhood. And there's many other developers and people in the community that do responsible development. What I'm against is the irresponsible development that's taking place. And if you look at the history of Spokane and you go to the Blue Bridge and you look at a 5-foot bronze that was put up during the Roosevelt years, our area was declared a natural conservation resource. It's 100 yards away from this building right now. Go look at it. It was recognized in the Roosevelt era. And yet we don't heed the history. I-90 and 195 is a choke point. And for decades and generations, we have kicked the can down the road of development of the infrastructure. There is no way you are going to develop 5,000 houses in our area and not have a problem. You do not have the electrical grid. We have rolling blackouts in the summer because of the power usage. You do not have the water infrastructure. According to your fire chief, we do not have the fire exit, okay? An irresponsible building is taking place as Greg Whipple is courting Lennar and Toll to develop 4,000 square foot lots, and our lots are 12,000 square foot lots. That's 3 houses plus the egresses and the sidewalks in my size lot. It's absolutely ludicrous, and it's irresponsible. CDB with Jeremy Tika has recently blown up our 15-foot deep water wetland that Lennar wants to build 204 houses on, okay, at the end of 21st, and has cracked the infrastructure that used to get 15-foot deep every winter, and cracked my foundation when he blew it up for Bishop's cul-de-sac a third of a mile away from me, and now I have to sue him and take him to court, okay? And I'm not the only one.
Michael?
So I would appreciate if we could talk, maybe Mr. Cathcart and Mr. Bingle, I could take you to breakfast or lunch, and we could have
Michael,
a
you have to do that.
conversation.
We're past our time, but thank you for coming down. And Adam Marshall, Becky Dickerhoof, and then Molly Marshall.
Good evening, Council, Council President. I'm Adam Marshall. I'm a resident here in Spokane. Latah Valley residents are sincerely grateful the Council has recognized the serious issues our neighborhoods have in Latah Valley area and have acted by voting for this moratorium. We thank you for making this decision. The scope of the moratorium, unfortunately, is far too narrow. It really doesn't address the true issues, as were just mentioned. They're far greater than just traffic or water resources, including the serious lack of fire response and fire coverages. The lack of infrastructure regarding fire throughout this area is putting our homes and lives at risk currently, and even more so in the future with more development. Access to neighborhoods for most of our neighborhoods are limited to 1 or 2 exit points, making evacuation hazardous and possibly even impossible. These include low railroad bridges, tunnels, and other obstacles to evacuation and response. On I-95 traffic, including the inclusion of J-turns and closures of road access to 195 could put successful fire response and evacuation in even further jeopardy. So some of the fixes are actually not necessarily helping the current residents there. This year, we've seen 3 major wildfires near the Latah Valley, and now approximately 3,000 new homes are in the permitting process within the city to be built in this area following the moratorium. If we do not act now and correct the current lack of infrastructure, the currently dangerous situation could reach a tipping point if the 3,000 homes are allowed to be built. We need to expand and update the fire department's resources in this area, and these should be included as part of this moratorium. They're not going to go away just because we're solving a traffic issue with impact fees. We've been told face-to-face by the fire department here in Spokane that they share our concerns in this area. And that's important. I hope the council asks them in person, have them come in and tell you what they think, because I think if you look them in the eye, they will tell you they have the same concerns. I'm especially encouraged that Spokane Mayor Woodward may be here, and hoping that she recognizes and supports the public safety and the well-being of Spokane residents, who are truly grateful, again, for this moratorium, where we have a chance to improve the situation of this district that is desperately in need of infrastructure before development. And we keep coming to you for months and on end to tell you how important it is for us to get that sort of motion underway with true collaboration between the city, the state, and local officials. Thank you for your time.
Thanks for coming down, Adam. Becky Dickerhoof, Molly Marshall, and Joy. I never get your name right, Joy, so you have to come down and tell us. Becky.
Green. Thank you. Good evening, President Beggs and City Council members. I'm Becky Dickerhoof, a resident of the Eagle Ridge community here in Spokane City. Over a year ago, several of our community members became so concerned about the lack of infrastructure within the city west of State Route 195, they began an action group. They learned the best way to address our lack of infrastructure was to pass a moratorium to allow the review of the impact fees and create a plan to address the problem. When the moratorium was passed, the developers and their supporters expressed outrage, not because this was bad for the community, but because they missed the opportunity to avoid the anticipated fee increase. Last week, I passed a mother carrying her toddler from the Latah Plaza on the berm of Cheney Spokane Road because we have no sidewalks. We have no bike paths. We have no bus service. The fishtail bridges are so low that the roads from 195 to our western neighborhoods, fire trucks could not pass under those bridges. We have 3 developments that have only one way out, and that is on Eagle Ridge Boulevard. For others, the only way out is off Lincoln. Last summer, when a forest fire was only 3 miles away, the community was terrified. The developers will survive a fee increase, but without safety services, adequate water, and egresses out, the residents' survival may very well be at risk. If the city does not address the infrastructure issue, the state threatens to shut off access to 195 median crosses, further impacting the safety issues of our community. I strongly remind you, Citizen Action for the Latah Valley does not oppose development. We demand infrastructure. Please vote to continue the moratorium and find a solution for our valley. Thank you.
Thank you, Becky. Molly Marshall, and Joy, and then Ryan. Corinne.
Hi there, Molly Marshall, Grandview Thorpe Neighborhood, Citizen Action for Latah Valley. Tonight we come and talk to you about this moratorium. Citizen Action for Latah Valley has been calling for a moratorium for over a year, and we're excited that the council recognizes the issues of our neighborhood and has acted by voting for this moratorium. We sincerely thank you for making this decision. This moratorium is currently focused on restructuring transportation impact fees. However, as written, It unfortunately does not address the other critical missing infrastructure and levels of service in the Latah Valley and Grandview Thorpe neighborhoods. There is still work to be done. The Latah Valley needs a permanent fire station, and we need to address obstacles for safe fire response and evacuation. All Latah Valley students bus to the South Hill or Cheney, so it is imperative that we provide a safe way to transport our students to and from school. We need to protect the natural and agricultural lands, protect the wildlife corridor, establish parks and open spaces, and we need a community center. This moratorium is an opportunity to fix what has been broken for so many years. We need engagement on all these issues, and we need collaboration from the city, the county, the state to ensure the public safety of our communities in the Latah Valley. Thank you for taking this important first step towards a better future.
All right. Thanks, Molly. And Joy, it's Chic, right? I got that right? Okay. And after Joy is Ryan Corinne and then Rob Anderson.
Hi, my name is Joy Sheik, and I am the chair of the Grandview Thorpe Neighborhood Council. I came tonight to let you know how grateful our neighborhood is that you took action and made this moratorium happen. Neighbors in Grandview Thorpe are thrilled that you enacted a building moratorium. I wish you could have been at our meeting in September when Molly Marshall announced that the moratorium had been put in place. There was cheering and what felt like a collective sigh of relief from everyone present. And while this is an amazing first step, and our neighborhood is eternally grateful that you intervened and made this happen, we also need to keep in mind what happens next once development is allowed to continue. On Friday morning, after our first snowfall, a neighbor posted a video on the Nextdoor app showing a couple of moose munching away at large shrubs covered in fresh snow next to our neighborhood's 16th Avenue Hill. At first, I was delighted to see these moose enjoying their morning meal in our neighborhood. But then, as I replayed the video several more times, each viewing made my heart grow heavier, and I was overwhelmed with sadness. You see, these moose were snacking directly across the street from where a developer is planning to build 450 apartments. Infrastructure is needed to keep our neighborhood safe, but the character of Grandview Thorpe also needs to be preserved. What about our wild open spaces where moose have roamed for the 20-plus years I've lived here? What will happen to all the other wildlife who make our neighborhood unique if we allow development to continue at a frenzied pace without stopping to consider what type of development will preserve the character that makes Grandview Thorpe such a special place to live? Let's work together to keep our neighborhood a safe and lovely place to live, not just for us, but for the moose who call it home as well. Thank you.
Thanks, Joy. Ryan? Corinne? Am I getting that right? No, Ryan, Rob Anderson, then Brian Jennings, and then Mayor Woodward.
Hi there. Thank
Hi,
you,
Rob.
Council.
Welcome.
Thanks. I am Rob Anderson with Alliance Residential. My company is currently planning to build a 300-plus multifamily apartment community near Garden Springs Creek, just west of 195, south of I-90. The project we're looking at currently has utilities in place. It has strong connectivity to downtown on the West Plains via Sunset Boulevard, and it has zoning to accommodate the project. We are budgeting a significant fee to pay to the city that will help address current infrastructure issues, local utilities, et cetera. We're working with local consultants, including Baker Construction, and their long list of local partners, Fusion Architecture, DC Engineers, TO Engineers, Vertex Engineering, and likely a lot more as we continue to advance this project. Our planned community will create a significant amount of new jobs from design to construction, property management of the future project, but we'll be forced to quit this project due to this moratorium. As I understand the purpose here, the city is asking for time to evaluate impact fees against future development projects in an effort to address existing infrastructure shortfalls. Frankly, we are in support 100% of addressing those shortfalls. It's not our intent to enter the market with a one-off project and exit without any concern for the market, for the neighbors. We spend a considerable amount of time learning about these markets that we want to enter. Spokane has certainly been high on our list for a long time. Many of our projects in Seattle, Portland, Vancouver, Washington, Tukwila, and Boise are near past projects of ours because of the value created from that given submarket. An outright moratorium, however, defeats its purpose. As noted, our project that we are evaluating has existing utilities, it has connectivity outside of 195, and it has zoning in place. It largely falls outside of the intent of this moratorium, but that is the effect and the danger of a broad-reaching moratorium, the unintended consequences. Spokane is currently in the midst of a housing crisis. Eliminating the opportunity to develop will only create a much more significant emergency for the broader market. Although this moratorium is only in place in the Latah Valley, it will have a much farther reaching effect because housing truly is a regional concern. We are fully in favor of smart city planning with an outlook toward future growth. I'd say rather than cut out the market, though, during these times, a collaborative approach allows all of us to work together to create the communities we want to live in and work in. I ask that you just consider the consequences of this moratorium and the effects this has on effective planning for the development world. Our commitment to the current landowner and our financial partners won't allow us an open-ended time frame for planning purposes. Thank you.
Rob, thanks for coming. Mayor Woodward. After Mayor Woodward, Joshua Awesome and Jim Frank.
Council President, I think you skipped Brian Jennings.
I did. Sorry, Mayor.
It's okay. All right.
Brian, come on down. That's why you got to get to that front row, so I see you there.
Well, that's a first.
Welcome.
So, Brian Jennings, Vinegar Flats. I'm just stopping by tonight to talk about some unintended consequences. We live currently in Vinegar Flats. Reading the ordinance, I think it's a little too blunt. It needs a little more nuance, and I'd like to request that it be amended. Not at this meeting, I know that's probably not possible, but at a future meeting very soon. Specifically, what is defined as new development. My family and I have been planning on building a new house and started to kick off design work right when this ordinance was put into place. The issue is that we are simply not building just a new house, but demolishing an existing manufactured home. So in this instance, a new house really results in no net impact to the transportation infrastructure, no net impact to the sewer or water capacity. So we wouldn't really be under this ordinance. We shouldn't be, but we are. So what I would like to see is some language in there. There's already a section in there in section 1, the last paragraph, that talks about transitional shelters, that type of thing for homelessness. I would like to see it speak to a one-to-one replacement where there is demonstrated no net impact to the issue that obviously is in place in the southern end of the valley. So that's my request, and hopefully that can be accommodated.
All right. Thanks for coming down.
Thanks.
Well, thank you, Council President, council members. As you know, the City of Spokane is in desperate need of housing units to address the housing emergency that I proclaimed back in July of 2021. And in that proclamation, I outlined actions to improve housing availability immediately and work with all of you to develop a joint list of priorities that we could accomplish together to address our housing emergency. I do not support the moratorium for the Latah Valley area because it sets us back in adding housing units in our region, and because of something of great concern that was done without public notice and very little process. However, at this time, I have directed and am supporting staff to do everything possible to meet several milestones and prepare so that when the 6-month moratorium ends in March, builders can break ground and walls can go up once again. The community has been asking for years to have safety improvements made to the 195 corridor. We've secured and received nearly $2 million in federal and state grants to study and address safety concerns. This moratorium puts at risk $800,000 in critical matching grant funds from local developers to help pay for safety improvements and continue the positive momentum in addressing our traffic concerns. Staff is in the process right now of adding projects identified in the council-adopted 195 I-90 study of the 20-year transportation plan and the comprehensive plan's facilities plan. They have also proposed the addition of selected projects to the 6-year transportation plan. This is on track to be completed by the end of the moratorium in March and also presented to council for adoption by the end of June 2023. Water and wastewater infrastructure needs to be done in this area. Our Public Works, Integrated Capital Management, and Community and Economic Development teams right now are working to update long-term plans based on data and also adding conditions to proposed development to address current and future needs. Additionally, work is underway to upgrade general facilities charges to help pay for improvements around utilities. The goal and expectation is to have initial information to guide this policy by the end of the moratorium. This moratorium has also created confusion in the building community. It's introduced a perception to the economic development community that we are not addressing our housing crisis. So my team and I are in a position to respond to damaging rumors that all building and development is shut down. Things as simple as adding a deck to a house have been perceived as not possible because of misinformation. So we are making progress with the creative solutions that we are working on together, and moratoriums like this just slow us down. I am committed to completing the work necessary to limit this moratorium to 6 months, allowing us to address housing needs and provide certainty to developers and our neighbors. Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming down, Mayor. Joshua Awesome, and then Jim Frank, and then Sheila Parpalia, I believe.
Hello again. So what we are asking for, again, is infrastructure before development. Our neighborhood is not prepared. I have been a homeowner in the Grandview neighborhood for 12 years now. And one of the things we experience almost weekly, at least every other week, is a vehicle drives into one of the low bridges. FedEx trucks, RVs, it is very detrimental. And if a fire truck ran into it because they were trying to get to the fire, it would be really tragic. The costs are huge for the losses. We need some sort of infrastructure to stop this. I know in other places where the low bridges, they have little chains and stuff that stop it. We need that badly in our neighborhood. Michael brought up one of the other big things. The wetlands were destroyed. At the end of our street, we had almost a 2-block long, it'd be like 14 feet deep every year. The wildlife used it. It's gone. It's the weirdest thing. I've had that for 10, 12 years. I've experienced that wandering around. It was beautiful. It's all gone. We're not actually talking about the true housing crisis in the majority. Now, there are some multifamily homes, but majority of what's being developed is not multifamily homes. It is houses that are 400,000 and above, which is not what we're needing a solution for in this moment. So we have a lack of electricity, water. We have no way to get out if there's a fire. In our neighborhood, there's one entrance exit, nothing else. So in the event of the fire in one of the main corridors, we'd be really screwed. So I am asking once again that you continue the moratorium, and I hope it's extended until we do have an infrastructure. Thank you kindly.
Thank you, Joshua. Jim Frank, and after Jim, Sheila, and then Darren Watkins.
President Beggs, members of the council, I'm Jim Frank. I'm with Greenstone Corporation. I don't support the moratorium. I think it's very ill-advised, and I think it just evidences a lot of people have said here about the lack of planning that's taken place for 10 or 20 years. And when you don't plan for 10 to 20 years and you're left, the only option left is a moratorium, then it's not a good situation. And that's what's really happened here. The moratorium by itself is not going to solve any of these problems. All you're going to get is a mitigation fee, and the mitigation fees should have been in place and modified a long time ago. We've done development in Eagle Ridge, for example, and paid no development, no mitigation fees. And so mitigation fees only work when everybody pays them. And so when you have hundreds and thousands of homes built over the last 20 years and they paid nothing, and then the fees are going to be imposed on the last 10%, it's really almost impossible for that to ever work. It needs much better planning than that. I do think that the boundary of the moratorium was, no thought was given to it, really. You didn't use transportation information to set that boundary. You used neighborhood council boundaries. So you used the boundary of the neighborhood council for Thorpe Road and Grandview to set the boundary. Properties that have an impact or been excluded, portions of properties that are inside that boundary have no effect, have been included. And it's all the result of doing something so rapidly that you couldn't properly evaluate the impacts. There is a small area on the north and west corner of Grandview neighborhood that I've provided some information on, and I think it should be removed from the moratorium because it has no discernible impact on the transportation impacts on 195. And so I'd ask that that small area be removed, and that the long process of beginning to plan for this area needs to begin. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim. Sheila, and then Darren, and then Kai.
Hello, I'm Sheila Parpolia. I've lived in the Grandview area for probably 25 years. With all the proposed, and this guy was right, the planning for it has not been taken care of, and we hope that you guys do something about it. In my area, which everybody keeps calling Grandview Thorpe, but it's just Grandview where I live. We're not even connected to Thorpe. We can't get to Thorpe without using 195. With all of the proposed building, they're going to triple the size of our neighborhood, and we don't have any other way out of there. Grandview is being removed from being given access to I-90 unless we take a right and go down and then take a J-turn and come back, which if there's an emergency, it's going to be horrible. I can't even imagine what kind of mess that's going to make. Our other route out is Sunset Boulevard, which has been changed to a one-lane road. And I understand there's problems with the bridge that are going to be studied, but there's no solution to that to make it more accessible to anybody. We don't even have sidewalks to run out if something happened. We have a hill that we go down. There's no sidewalks to get onto. There's no sidewalk down our side of Sunset Boulevard. I don't know how emergency things are going to get in and how we're going to get out if there's an emergency. And we're not trying to stop. I want you guys to think about our Grandview neighborhood in all of this the most, because we're getting the very short end of the stick of this whole 195 thing. We need infrastructure to be put in first and not proposed and collect the fees and then put in infrastructure. We need infrastructure there before our neighborhood is tripled. So I appreciate all you guys helping us. Thank you.
Thanks, Sheila. Darren Watkins, then Kai Heshka, and then Bob Brandenkamp.
Thanks. I'm Darren Watkins with the Spokane Association of Realtors. I also live in Spokane. I'm not agnostic when it comes to housing. Just wanted to pass that along for clarification. Just a point of clarification. I know that the speaker here was talking about $400,000 homes. The reality for us today is that a $400,000 home in Spokane County is the median price. It's the average price. I come from my family's been involved in building homes for generations. And my dad used to love building a new house because he said 4 families found a new place to live. the house the new house we built was purchased by someone who sold their Shadle Park Rancher. And that Shadle Park Rancher, when it opened up, somebody had to move out of an apartment. And once that apartment opened up, then a young couple got to move out of their parents' basement. So there is such a thing as called a housing ladder, and it does help at all types. And I meant to bring a letter in today. It was addressed by our board of directors here to the council from the Spokane Association of Realtors, imploring this body to help with the traffic issues south of town that was truly hampering development. The problem was that letter was dated 2001. This has been an issue now for 20 years. For 20 years, we've had transportation dollars come through this body, but were assigned and used on other projects. This has not been a priority. Building moratoriums, though, we question if that's a workable long-term solution. Right now, we've been contacted by a number of property owners who are waiting to build and are now being told, no, they have to wait. All of this during what we all here understand as a housing crisis. When I say crisis, the numbers are very clear. We need 25,000 housing units, apartments, houses, condos, just to meet national standards. It feels like we're banning masks during a pandemic because we can't agree to the color. What we really need to do is to listen. Listen to the people here who are imploring you for solutions, not temporary fixes that all they do is just stop things. The reality is we can't choke the patient while we're trying to save their life. What we must do, why don't we hold an emergency summit on transportation and get the players in a room to talk about real workable solutions? We asked for that because, after all, we all need a place to live. Thank you.
Thanks for coming down, Darren. Kai Heshka, and then Bob Brandkamp, I believe, and then Claudia Loeb.
Good evening. Thank you very much. Kai Hushka, current chair of the Latah-Hangman Neighborhood Council, also part of the Citizen Action for Latah Valley. As a few people already said, thank you very much for putting the moratorium in place. It's long overdue. I guess a couple of points to make is the situation that area is in is not about the future, it's about the past, largely. Meaning decisions that were made or not made in the past have created the conditions that people are facing today down there. The fear is that without actually addressing it in a deep manner, you're going to exacerbate it with more housing and all the things that come with more people living in a particular area. So it is truly about trying to address the past. In fact, it's very interesting that those who have spoken in favor of development happening are actually making their argument for why the moratorium is necessary. In fact, the ask of the Citizen Action for Latah Valley was threefold. One was the planning piece. Largely the conditions that you guys have inherited is because of the planning aspect not being as comprehensive as it probably should have been. The other piece was about not just impact fees, but about funding at a broader scale. Where's the money going to come from? No one's in belief that it's solely going to come from developers, so where's the rest of the dollars going to come from for what is necessary for now as well as for the future? And really the third thing is to look at development overall, whether developing at times is even the smart thing to do. It's largely been a community that's been driven with the belief that development is always a good thing. I think with the planning, if we really looked at that particular area, the question should be, should some things be developed or not, versus just the default towards development. And I think that is a very thing that could make Spokane a leader, not just in Washington State, but elsewhere. How does the city look down the line? Housing, fine, we need housing. Let's also be fair to understand that people are leaving places because the places that they're from have become untenable because of overdevelopment. So there's a bigger, broader picture here that I think that needs to be comprehensively understood. And one person actually brought it up, and I want to just end by saying it's an opportunity to reset. This is an opportunity. This is a challenge of which lots of people have to be at the table. And you guys can take a very big leadership role here if you undertake doing it from that vantage point. And with that, don't just look at the moratorium as a 6-month thing, the moratorium should be there for as long as it's needed to really suss this stuff out, so that we're not coming here every 5-10 years saying, why didn't things happen in 2022? So I see it as an opportunity. Hopefully you do as well, regardless of where you sit on the spectrum here, but it's a chance for Spokane to do it differently, not just for Latah Valley, but for Spokane at large, and perhaps to be a model for elsewhere. So thank you.
Thanks, Kai. Bob, come on up.
Good evening, Council President, Council members. Appreciate this opportunity to provide some testimony on this issue. I think the last speaker brought up a great point in that, you know, really this moratorium is a timeout, right? It's like we're talking to our 3-year-old and saying, hey, you got to take time out, let's reassess things, let's get things under control. I don't think anyone here is against development, increasing housing. Yes, we have to do it, but we have to do it thoughtfully and responsibly. And so the question is, so I'm a resident of the Grandview neighborhood. I won't, you know, several speakers have brought up the egress issue. I won't belabor that point. But my job requires that I have a thorough understanding of the wildfire risk areas in this community. And I can tell you that that Grandview area, Eagle Ridge, I-90, 195 corridor is one of the highest wildfire risk areas in this community. So with knowing that, and another speaker said, you know, suggested talking to having conversations with the fire department. I can guarantee you if you speak to the fire department or any of the fire districts in this community, they will give you that same feedback. So the question then becomes, as stewards of the community, is it the smartest thing to do to triple housing in an area with the highest wildfire threat in the city of Spokane with egress problems? So, you know, this isn't a theoretical exercise about, well, you know, people may or may not be able to get out and fire may or may not happen one day. You know, people say history is a great teacher. And we have a great lesson in Paradise, the Paradise Fire in California, the Camp Fire. Same situation, limited egress, high wildfire threat risk, and look what happened there. So that tells us it can happen. And unless we develop thoughtfully and put the infrastructure in place, we are setting ourselves up to repeat that same mistake. So again, thank you for the moratorium that you've put in place, and I just encourage thoughtful consideration of continuing that until such time that we have a plan in place to get the infrastructure in place first and not allow building and hope that the infrastructure comes at some point down the road. Thank you for your consideration.
Thanks for coming down, Bob. Claudia, and then Jennifer Thomas, and then after that we have some people by video and phone, Bill Lenz, Evan Barton, and others. Welcome.
My name is Claudia Lobb, and I'm a 22-year resident of the Grandview neighborhood. And I'm here to thank the council for enacting the moratorium on future building in the urban Latah Valley region. We are a committed group who our entire intent is creating the very best possible outcome for all our residents and developers. As everyone previously have said, we're not opposed to building. We are in favor of it being done correctly. The urban Latah Valley areas are now and have been negatively impacted by the culmination of decisions and lack of decision-making by state and local leadership for decades. We urge the City Council leadership to leave the moratorium in place for as long as it takes to create best practice for infrastructure that will not only be sustainable, but will create safe environments for our residents. Just last week, another builder posted a sign advertising a new development on West Grandview Avenue. Safe environments mean adequate fire stations, adequate water access, safe ingress and egress for streets for thousands of predicted homes. Our children need schools that are close by and them not being bused down a dangerous I-95, 195 corridor 2 times a day. We do not want state, railroad, and city leadership to continually delay correction of the dangerous roadway conditions on Highway 195 I-90 corridor. We are the next boondoggle similar to Indian Trail, South Regal, and the North-South Freeway. Improved comprehensive planning for this huge growth will be absolutely necessary and has failed to exist for the Grandview neighborhood and the urban Latah Valley to date. Improve the development approval process for not only Latah Valley but all of Spokane. Using this moratorium effectively will also determine who will be paying for the infrastructure. Impact fees need to better match the cost of replacing and placing that infrastructure. What share will be shouldered by government, developers, or taxpayers? We ask best practice for correction of existing infrastructure inadequacies and comprehensive planning for adequate and safe infrastructure before development. Thank you for your consideration.
Thanks, Claudia. Jennifer Thomas. Welcome.
Thank you. I am in agreement that we have a serious safety issue that we have heard from so many people tonight. I have 3 questions. One is, it's not an option tonight to rescind the ordinance, and that's not what I'm asking you to do, but there's an option to adopt or ratify the findings. What are the findings that you'll be adopting tonight?
They're in the ordinance, the proposed ordinance that started this out.
So the ordinance that was read at the very beginning on September 12th. So the findings of traffic issues and needing more dollars to build in infrastructure.
Yeah, I'm not looking at them right now.
Okay.
So it sounds like you have.
So my second question is, why are there no sidewalks? Why is there a lack of adequate infrastructure and significant safety issues after all of these years of collecting impact fees? It seems to me that there should be more development that has happened in these neighborhoods.
I'm not aware, excuse me, that this is a Q&A. You're testifying.
Okay. I am testifying, but you're about to make a decision on something and adopt findings that I have sat here and listened to everybody talk, and I'm not hearing what findings came out over the course of the last 6 weeks, or whatever it has been, in order to have this hearing tonight. So I was expecting that I would come and that we would hear that there would be findings presented that would have been collected over the last couple of weeks. So my third question, and this one is, I asked this on September 12th, I'm asking again, I would like to see an accounting for where and how funds that have been collected since 2000 have been used. What is the process for me finding that information?
So again, to Councilmember Kinnear's point, we can talk with you offline and answer your questions, but this is our chance to hear your views on it. So we don't typically do the question and answer.
I know, but you're about to adopt something that I haven't heard what the findings are. So this has been referred to as a timeout tonight, the moratorium. I think it's more like a Band-Aid fix, and I think that the Band-Aid is getting infected. And so I would love to hear what the findings are and have actual data so that as you make a decision, we as the community know that it was an educated decision and it's not a knee-jerk reaction. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for coming down. And then we have Bill Lenz, I believe, on video. Is Bill there? All right, Bill, welcome to City Council. You have up to 3 minutes.
My apologies, technical difficulties.
Yep.
Thank you, City
We've got
Council.
you.
Thank you, President Beggs and the Council. Can you hear me all right?
We've got you. Yep.
Thank you very much. So my name is Bill Lenz. I'm an attorney at Foster Garvey, and I am here on behalf of Alliance Realty Partners, LLC. Alliance testified earlier this hearing about their proposed project to develop a multifamily housing project on the north end of the moratorium area. Now, as a longtime resident of Spokane, who grew up on the south side of Spokane near Spangle, I traveled 195 every day. I am completely empathetic with those testifying in favor of the moratorium. It's an issue that has been a problem within our community for decades. And I applaud the city and those in those neighborhoods for doing everything they can to address it. We need to address it, and we need to fix it. But the moratorium is not the right way to do that. Applying a pause, hitting the pause button right now, is not the right solution. If we hit the pause button right now, we're saying that we cannot walk and chew gum at the same time. We're saying that we cannot solve a problem that's existed in this community for decades because we have not planned for decades. We are imposing that burden on the few developers in this time and era when really it's a long-term problem that we need to use all of our resources for and solve together. Now, my young daughter here just showed up during the hearing. She is someone that's going to be impacted by this. And what we need to do together is employ different financial methods like public financing and bonds and other improvement districts to try to raise funds so that we can actually solve, she's talking right now, so that we can solve this problem together as a community, not just imposing it on the last couple of years of developers. During a housing crisis, we're talking about saying that these few developers who want to develop hundreds of units at a time when you need, we heard earlier testimony for 250 to 300, we need 25,000 additional units right now. Those 25,000 additional units aren't going to be built on their own. We need developers to be here to do this. And by signaling with this moratorium that we are willing to cut off development without any sort of warning, tells the market that this is not a safe place to develop, which is a very dangerous thing to do at this time. I would urge the City Council to consider either repealing the moratorium or trying to limit its extent to the most possible. Not applying it just to residential development during a housing crisis, also applying it to commercial development if you're going to say that residential development is destroying our ability to handle these issues. Then
Bill,
what we're saying is,
your
sorry.
3 minutes is up for tonight.
Okay.
But
thank you very much.
We appreciate your testimony and meeting your family, and come back again. Thanks. Evan Barton is on the phone. And Evan, if you're there, if you want to hit...
I was just in a big meeting, and I told you to go away, sweetheart, and you just appeared in front of a city council hearing in Spokane.
All right, Evan, if you're there, if you want to hit *3 to raise your hand electronically. All right. Evan, welcome to City Council.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can. Welcome. You have up to 3 minutes.
All right. Okay, thank you so much, City Council. My name is Evan Barton, and I am in a similar situation to somebody who previously spoke, that I am doing a one-to-one swap of a previous residential single-family home in the Vinegar Flats area with a new residential single-family home. And I was just calling in to ask you all to consider adding a little bit more nuance to the moratorium to allow for these one-to-one swaps that really will not have an impact on the infrastructure, which is the issue of the moratorium. So that is all I wanted to say on that, and just implore you all to consider adding that additional nuance that a one-to-one swap would not have any impact on the infrastructure in the area. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks for letting us know. All right. 2 more people on video. Mary Beth McGinley is next, and Greg Presley, you're after Mary Beth.
Okay. I'm trying to start my video.
Okay.
Okay.
We can hear you, though.
Okay. Well, I could start talking while I play.
Oh, there you go.
Here I am. Oh, and my mother, I hope that's okay. Margaret, 52-year resident, 100 years old. And I recently returned to Spokane after being away for many years and have lived in the Grandview Thorpe neighborhood for a year and a half. I didn't know all of these issues existed here until I moved back into this neighborhood. And it's been difficult tonight to figure out what to talk about, but I've been listening really closely to everybody's comments. And I'm kind of keying in on a few different things. I particularly appreciated the concept of the moratorium being, a bad thing for developers, for, the image of the city, for our need to continue to build. And maybe I won't be popular with my CalV group, but I think the moratorium was kind of a desperate act because the planning didn't precede what was required here in Spokane for so many years. In my, convincing my husband to love Spokane the way I've loved Spokane for 50 years, he said things like, gosh, Spokane looks like nobody did any planning. It really disturbs him that he goes around the city and sees things that, are all reactionary instead of proactive. And I think that's not an uncommon theme, and we've heard it a lot tonight. So planning was definitely a theme that I was going to touch on, and I think it's already been touched on. Funding, clearly that's what our group is really, critically recognizing as a need. Where is the funding going to come from? This is a giant burden to the city of Spokane to create infrastructure, and it's not just going to come from impact fees, as we obviously know. So that's a big concern, and we haven't seen a plan. Mayor Woodward made comments, and I really, really paid attention to what she said about wanting a plan to be revealed simultaneously. I think if I heard this correctly, I apologize if I didn't, that it would be revealed simultaneously to the end of this moratorium period. But my experience with plans like that, with those kinds of funding, are their 10 and 15 and 20-year plans. What we are recognizing is that the timing of infrastructure for the level of development that's being proposed in this area is so critical, because if it doesn't either precede or parallel the building, then we have to think about the cost. I mean, if you don't plan correctly, and as we react, and Spokane has reacted over the years in many neighborhoods that were cited, the cost, the complexity, the time it takes to fix the thing you didn't do to begin with, the grief that goes along with it, the criticism, all of those things become hugely impactful, and that's is a giant thing.
All right, Mary
I'll
Beth?
kind of end by saying.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Am I out? That's
You're
fine.
out of time, but you can.
I'll just end by saying two things. I came from aircraft maintenance. That was my career. I did supply chain. Safety was paramount, and we all fly. We all know it's paramount. Safety always has to dictate our actions, period. And we know what that is. And you either pay me now or you pay me later. That was a message we
Thanks
always
so
give.
much.
So thank you for letting me speak.
And it's good to see your mom. Thanks.
Right, let me yes, Mark.
And next is Greg Presley, it's our last speaker. We see you, Greg. Or I should say, we see your name.
I'll try this.
Okay. Oh, you got muted again. You're currently muted, but we heard you for a moment. There you go.
Okay, is that better?
Yes, we can hear you.
Can you hear me? All right. I appreciate you allowing me to speak on the moratorium on development. This section of the city that we're talking about wasn't settled until many years after the remainder of the city, and that was a geographical decision because bridges had to be built over Latah Creek Canyon. The aquifer doesn't extend over that area. The convenient level areas close to the creek became major highways and railways, two major railroad trunks, which close off many potential access points to the potentially habitable areas at the tops of the steep hills and cliffs, which mark the western boundary of the city. A little pockets were eventually developed, mostly after World War II. The attraction for home buyers then and now was to live in a quiet area within a moderately easy drive of downtown and surrounded by some beautiful natural scenery. The people living in the area have accepted what could only be termed a disgraceful lack of basic city services forever and infrastructure. No schools, no fire stations, no police stations, one very tiny park, substandard roads without curbs or sidewalks, many, many unpaved roads in a city which is constantly cited for pollution, for particulate pollution, and that's still happening currently. Very limited ways to get to the rest of the city, very sketchy school bus services, no Spokane transit services, and no commercial centers with grocery stores or any other retailers, giving our neighborhood one of the lowest walkability scores in the entire city. The city has received proposals to infill this part of the city with up to 3,000 additional homes and housing units. What was merely inadequate for the 3,000 people who now live here becomes downright criminal for 6,000 to 9,000 people. To build this amount of housing without addressing the lacks mentioned above is to guarantee that the area will quickly devolve to a slum, because who would ever want to live in a crowded area with zero services and impossible to escape from in a natural disaster like a fire? And just as a quick, for instance, I have a developer, just a local small unit developer, who has punched through a dirt road and has built 10 houses on there. Why wasn't he required by the city to pave it? That's just one example of the city not demanding from developers that they do the bare minimum to make the city livable and our neighborhood a quality area to live in. Thank you again. I think that I agree with the people who said the moratorium should continue until these most basic service lacks are met. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. All right, that brings us to the end of the hearing, where we've had a chance to hear from community members on their thoughts. And do you have a motion?
Mm-hmm.
All right, what is that?
Thank you for asking. My motion is to ratify the findings of fact in Ordinance C-36276 in support of the moratorium and request staff to prepare supplemental findings of fact based on the record for the City Council to adopt at our next regularly scheduled meeting.
For a second?
Second.
Okay. Council commentary. Councilmember Cathcart.
Yeah, I would move that we defer consideration of the findings of fact until 1 week from today.
Second. Okay. Moved and seconded?
You have a motion
Oh, well, are you, I'm sorry, there's a motion on the floor. Did you make an amendment, or what were you?
Well, my motion is to defer consideration for a week so that we can, I think, more thoughtfully, as has been presented.
Well, that's what this is. This is to,
All right, I'm going to
Can
need some
we-
help from parliamentarian. So the motion on the floor was to adopt, and then there was a motion to defer. Which one gets considered first, if you know? Yeah.
I think deferral outweighs, but we'll see.
so just to be clear, legal's going to be working on the finding, so we have findings of fact, and legal's going to be working on finalizing those for consideration for next week. So we're going to actually vote next week.
So then what are we considering today?
We're-
You asked for a motion to adopt the findings of fact.
To ratify the findings of fact, and this is from James Richmond. Is he here?
He is.
Can you come forward, please?
So just really quickly, my intent is, I just want more time. As has been presented to us, there have been perhaps some areas where we could have been more thoughtful in how these were put together, and I just want more time to make sure that the outcome is accurate in terms of where we are applying all of this going forward.
Should I read this again? Because what I'm asking for is to ratify these and then for legal to provide supplemental findings.
What would that be? So the supplemental findings will come next Monday?
Yes.
So it's a week from.
Yes.
From
So it's
today.
essentially doing what you're asking.
Okay.
I guess we didn't need
Can you
to.
clarify
No,
that,
go
Jim?
ahead. You're here.
Yeah, that's correct. You adopted findings when you adopted the ordinance, or the council adopted findings when it adopted the ordinance originally. And the motion was just to ratify those findings again this evening, but also to bring back supplemental findings that were based upon, that might be based on what we heard here tonight and some other information.
And then just for my clarification, so the findings that we are ratifying today are the same without any modification that were approved when we adopted the
Correct.
moratorium?
Correct.
Okay.
But then we will be considering additional ones that they will come up with in the week.
Sure.
I've already emailed James on one of the people testifying wanting some consideration. So as we think of these things, we can also give them to the legal department. We've got a week.
Yeah. Okay. So I would just, in terms of commentary, just really quick. So
you're withdrawing your motion?
I will withdraw, yes.
Okay.
I will withdraw. But in terms of commentary, I will say I'm going to oppose the motion to ratify based on just simply on the fact that the way these came about originally was with 1 hour and 6 minutes notice. And I just don't think good policy can ever come forward where we have that short time frame to consider. The public deserves better. Everybody deserves better than 1 hour and 6 minutes notice. So on that basis alone, I'm going to oppose. But I do hope that we can modify these in the next week to improve them, and I would be happy to be a part of that.
Any other commentary? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I agree with Councilman Cathcart. I'll also be opposing this tonight. There's a ton of reasons why the developments that are happening in that area are necessary for the city, and I think development is the pathway forward for all the infrastructure needs in that area. The city devotes very little money, if any, to actually constructing new roads. We really rely on state and federal grants to be able to get those things built. And so if we are able to be developing and having our developers kick in a portion of that money, then we can go to state and federal agencies and say, hey, we've got a 30% match here. Would you be willing to kick in the rest? And that's something that is really attractive as we're attracting grant dollars. But realistically, what the moratorium does is, there's a lot that we have to take into consideration. And so we have a scenario here where imagine an emergency room and you have a person who comes in and they have a broken arm, right? Terrible, painful. It's something that needs to be addressed as quickly as possible. And while we're looking at the person with a broken arm, somebody who's had a heart attack has come in and they're going to die if we don't take care of that situation. Of those two, one of them is obviously going to get priority. And this is sort of the situation we find ourselves in the city, where housing is one of the major pathways forward to get people off the streets and into shelter. Not a shelter provided by the city, but a shelter that they take care of themselves. And so what we have in this area is we certainly have a broken arm, and it needs to be addressed, and we're going to address it. But when we're looking at the severity of people, a potential for catastrophic harm is a real concern that we need to address. But 162 people died on the streets last year. I mean, that's an actual realized cost of human life that we're experiencing right now. And one of the major pathways forward, the main pathway forward for us is to get housing built. The infrastructure issues absolutely need to be addressed, and we're going to be addressing those. That's why I'm thankful to be with Councilwoman Kinnear on that impact fee committee, and we're going to make sure that we get that done as quickly as possible. I think we can be doing both at the same time.
Okay.
Councilmember Stratton.
So most of you know this is not my strength, and it takes everything in my brain to understand all of the nuances. But here's what I know. I know that I spent a couple weekends in the neighborhoods that we've been talking about, and literally driving around with residents who love it there. They've created their families there, their homes, and they're scared. They're seeing, and there's a lot of development going on up there, and there's one way in and one way out in some neighborhoods. It's a mess. It is correct, and I think we all know it's the city should have dealt with this 20 years ago. That hasn't happened, so here we sit. And I appreciated the comment from somebody that said we need to hit the reset button, because I think that that's what we're trying to do. But as a council member, when you spend a weekend with people in their neighborhoods who've lived there 20, 30 years, and they look at you and they say, we're afraid because we don't know what all of this development is going to do to this infrastructure that isn't ready for it, you want to support those folks. And that's how this came about. I guess what I hope to get out of this as we all sit in this room and we move forward another week and see where we go, I would love to see developers talking to neighborhoods and the neighbors being able to know who to call, what developer to talk to say, hey, what are you doing? We have concerns about this. I mean, if this just opens up that conversation, or if this is a catalyst to bring those issues forward. I don't know if it's a neighborhood council meeting or if it's a special meeting of both neighborhoods and developers to sit down so everybody understands, the developers understand the fear of the residents, and the residents understand that, you know, this is business, and we have developers out there that want to build neighborhoods, and that's okay. But I think we've all gotten so far from the issue that no one's talking to anybody, and I'd love to see that change. The other thing, while I understand everybody saying there's a housing crisis, there is, we know that. I understand the housing ladder, but I'm interested in something that's affordable, you know, that, and these neighborhoods that I've worked with have said, we don't mind affordable units in our neighborhood. You know, do a half and half, do a mix, be creative. So I want to put that out there because every neighborhood that I've been in the last month, talking about this issue and other issues, they're not fighting development. They want to be safe, they want to know what's going on, and they want to know what they can expect as far as infrastructure and what needs to be completed to make them feel like they can live there for the next 30 years. So that's just my 2 cents. But I would love to see something that's affordable and market rate. If we could start talking a little bit that way, then I think I would feel better about all this. So thank you.
Councilmember Wilkerson.
I appreciate both sides tonight. And it was said this is a decades-old issue that's been going on in that area. And this council is now here trying to address some of the issues and mitigate that. I use the word pause because we had not taken the time to sit down to even start figuring out some of the issues that are before us. And so it's for 6 months. I look forward to what Mr. Richmond brings back in the next week. I heard the nuances that truly, thank you for that, because I had not personally thought through those nuances that was presented here tonight. So those will certainly be taken under consideration on my behalf as we go forward with this moratorium. But we have to start somewhere to really, and we haven't, to my knowledge, since I've been on council, sat down and given this issue this much time off of 195. So I will be in support of it, but then I look forward to what the next steps will be in order to us to support more housing, affordable housing, attainable. I think the average wage in Spokane is now $75,000. So I don't know what you could buy if your income is between $65,000 and $75,000. I don't know if $400,000 would get there, especially at the 7% interest rate that's going on right now. But I think that we're addressing it, and so I appreciate that, and I appreciate the comments, but I will be in support of it.
Councilmember Kinnear.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone, for coming down. This is an important issue. It's about safety. It's about public safety. I did tour the neighborhood with the fire chief, and we talked about the dangers. We talked about egress.
Hey, Scott, I'm just following up on your text.
Okay.
I should really.
This is stereo. All right.
It's a ghost.
Okay, it's a ghost, yeah.
Sorry about that.
Thank you, Hanley. Anyway, I know this has been going on for at least 20 years. I've talked to Mike Gribner, who's our WashDOT representative here in Eastern Washington. He says, Lori, we at WashDOT have been trying to engage the city council at the time, engage the administration at the time to do something. Now it falls on us. And quite honestly, I'm a little resentful of that, because there were people back in 20 years ago or even 10 years ago when we were not on this council that could have done something. So I want to do everything I can to make sure you all are safe. I understand there's a housing crisis. I understand that we need to build more housing, but not at the sacrifice of the people who live in the area now and your safety. So I will be supporting this, clearly, because I sponsored half of it. I will be supporting this. We'll be working with Mr. Richmond to come up with some other nuances that we may have missed, but I think it's important that we start somewhere, and the burden's fallen on our shoulders. So here we go. Fasten your seatbelt. So thank you all again for coming down. Appreciate it.
Councilmember Bingle.
Yeah, I believe we have a city council member here from 20 years ago. I mean, well, we'd like to give him an opportunity to speak on the issue.
Yeah, I was looking right at him.
Can we just blame him?
No.
Thanks for your service, Steve. Yeah, so again, when we have these conversations, it gets a little bit confusing sometimes. People conflate things. So today was the chance for us to hear. We already made initial findings, and there, if you look in our packet in the ordinance that set up this very temporary moratorium, there were 20 whereas clause, and then after that it says we adopt those as findings of fact. Most of those are just kind of fluff language, but it kind of boils down to our findings were that there are several transportation projects needed in that valley, and especially due to new development, and that the current impact fees are inadequate to pay the proportional share of the new development. And therefore, we needed a pause, a 6-month pause, in order to update those transportation impact fees. So those were the findings that we've been asked to ratify tonight. I'm going to be supporting that. I think all the evidence, no matter what side people were on the moratorium, they all agreed with those basic facts. So there did not seem to be much disagreement on the facts that we're going to ratify. We heard some good ideas about things that we might need to change on the moratorium a bit, but those are not the facts. That's just information that we got and that could inform us if we want to do anything that covers the next 4 months. I think probably the most exciting testimony I got today was from the mayor's office, because we really heard that she is rallying her staff to focus on this issue and do all these updates and do the planning that everybody says we need. So we have the mayor's attention on this, and she's making it a priority, and that's going to benefit everybody. And really, this whole project, as Councilmember Kinnear mentioned, the can's been kicked down the road for many years, and we had the choice. We could have kicked it ourselves, or we could jump in and make the painful choice to really figure out the planning and how to pay for it, which we're doing. And it sounds like we heard assurances from the Director of Planning that we will have that information and all that work done by March 11th when this temporary moratorium expires, and by then we'll have a plan, and we'll have a financing instrument to finance that infrastructure, and then we can go and satisfy the needs of all the people who testified, which is better, safer infrastructure that's actually financed and planned out in that valley. So I'm going to be supporting it as well. It's just a voice vote, so all those in favor of ratifying it, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, nay?
Nay.
That was 1 nay or 2 nays, okay? 2 nays. Any abstentions? Okay, 5-2 ratification, and then I guess we'll be back next week with some supplemental findings as well. All right, thank you, everybody. Let's move on to hearing 4.
H4, hearing on final reading ordinance C 36-298, adopting a city council redistricting plan as previously substituted, as substituted earlier today.
All right, so we have, let's see, have 9 people on this. The first is Robin Ball, followed by Earl Moore, and then Ann Murphy. And again, if you could come on down if you're going to be testifying soon.
Thank you very much for having me
Welcome.
this evening. My name is Robin Ball. I served as an appointed representative on the redistricting committee for Spokane County's commissioner districts. We changed from 3 commissioner districts to 5. There were 4 of us appointed to that committee, 2 Republicans, 2 Democrats, and once the 4 of us were in place, we were to choose a non-voting committee, nonpartisan, non-voting committee chair. The 4 of us being split politically could not arrive at a consensus for who that should be, and that decision was forced upon the county commissioners because the committee could not agree. The only input that we had from county commissioners on that process was their selection of a nonpartisan, non-voting chair to keep us in line and make sure that we made all of our deadlines. She played a very critical role in watching dates that we were responsible for and keeping us moving forward. Certainly there were differences of opinion. She was excellent in moderating how we worked through those differences. And one of the key issues for us was input from the community. The statute required that we hold 2 public hearings and 2 information sessions. And we, as all 4 of us, decided that we needed to double that, and we were in the community way more than anticipated. And we split those duties for the information sessions with 1 Republican and 1 Democrat always being at those meetings. All 4 of us attended all hearings. Over the course of 6 months, never did a commissioner give us input as to where the impact lines should be, where they should be drawn. They didn't attend our meetings, though I know they listened in sometimes and also had staff listening, but they never told us what to do or shared their opinions of the direction that we were going. Like your process for redistricting, we had requirements that we had to watch, and as we all know, we're looking at this as a population balance. We followed all the required guidelines and most of the recommended guidelines without commissioner input. I've heard comments from previous meetings that neighborhood councils should be left intact, and it seems to me that they had an opportunity to give you their input with plenty of time to spare. It's appalling to me that any of you would have taken the initiative to draw your own lines. These are supposed to be community inputs, and with your appointed committee, it's very disrespectful of all of the work that they put into this.
Robin, your 3 minutes is up.
All right, thank you.
All right, thanks for coming down. Earl Moore, then Ann Murphy, and then Darren Watkins.
Thank you, President Briggs and Council. I've attended these city council meetings for the past months, and I'm sure, I just am sure that you're familiar with my words, as I am very familiar with your actions and your votes. I follow you very closely. Actually, I think probably I've been just as consistent, or maybe more so, than some of you on the council in attending these meetings. So I do know what's going on in this area here. And I have openly shared my thoughts, my concerns, and my praises when it was due. And again today, I do thank you for all the work that you guys do. But tonight I feel like it's been to no avail. I don't know. Some of you on this council have consistently voted against the majority in this chamber. I now wonder who hears or who's listening. I'm not sure why you do that, except that I'm guessing you think your opinions override the constituents that you represent. My number one concern has been the city redistricting maps. You have shown your true colors, and I assess that they're not very bright for my city. I see doom and gloom on the horizon of my city, and I believe that some of you here will have to accept that responsibility. I believe the City Council should respect the will of the independent and nonpartisan board that voted on the recommended map and just simply vote to approve it. You asked them to do it, they did it. And it's like, I get so frustrated. It seems like you, rather than ponder, you just amend stuff and do what you want. That makes me sad. I would say, will you please stop polarizing the redistricting map issues? I recommend, no, I implore you to accept the redistricting map's decision to recommend a simple map that made minimal changes. Vote no on your amendment to accept the inappropriate map, and instead adopt the original map, map number 1. And I'm sure this is the last you will hear from me on this. But I thank you all for your time and your efforts. And I can live with us not being in agreement, but it breaks my heart.
Thanks for coming down, Earl. Ann Murphy, then Darren Watkins, and Steve Corker.
Council President Beggs and council members. I'm Ann Murphy. I reside in Council District Number 2 in the Manitou Cannon Hill neighborhood. And tonight I'm speaking for the League of Women Voters of the Spokane area. And as a person who attended, I think, almost every redistricting board meeting. Many times I was the only citizen there. Thank you for your work and diligence in reviewing the proposed redistricting plan for the city of Spokane, and I know this includes comments that come to you outside this formal setting. Additionally, the League thanks the redistricting board for their work. The League of Women Voters of the Spokane area supports your Ordinance C 36298 as Council amended it on October 24th to replace the initial map with the map known as Map 2 that maintains the neighborhood boundaries. The League supports a range of criteria in redistricting efforts that are all within the authority of redistricting. While working to achieve a population balance in districts is an important criteria, there are other things to consider as well: compactness, contiguousness, and protecting communities of interest. And this is where it gets interesting in Spokane. Communities of interest are our neighborhood councils. When one considers the neighborhood council boundaries, it might look like gerrymandering to an eye that does not consider that. This map number 2 maintains the neighborhoods, also has a population differential that, while not quite as tight as another map, is well below an accepted differential. Perhaps some of those neighborhood boundaries should be given another look. Nevertheless, early input to and the interest of the board was to maintain the neighborhoods. The majority is not just the majority that shows up in your council chambers, but the majority of the complete population. Additionally, maintaining the neighborhood strengthens the council representation by making sure that each neighborhood has only 2 council members, thus reducing conflict over disagreements on who is representing important neighborhood concerns. I would like to follow up on comments made at the October 24th meeting by both Councilmember Kinnear and Cathcart, though perhaps for different reasons. They each suggested a study group or a task force of some sort that would provide further look at our redistricting process. Now that we have used this process described in the city charter for 2 cycles, perhaps it's time to review and look more closely at those details that account for the naming of the redistricting board, its processes, and timing. It took so long to seat the board that they were left with trying to involve public participation over the summer. Not a great time to get into that kind of conversation in our summers. And we hope you will consider that, and thank you.
Thank you, Ann, for coming down. Darren Watkins, and then Steve Corker, and then Justin Heller. Okay. Okay.
I come down here with a written statement and listen to you all, and then there's been a political platform for over 100 years of nonpartisan government in the city of Spokane. And about the turn of the century, when I went on the council, I began to see Democrats and Republican parties begin endorsing city candidates, providing mailing lists, and even developed to the point where political parties began to endorse candidates before filing closed. Both sides of the political spectrum seem to be commanding more and more attention of elected officials. Some elected officials, nationally, statewide, and locally, seem to place their commitment to their party over to the charter or the Constitution they serve. This is definitely happening in Olympia and in Washington, D.C. Political parties were never designed to control government. Their purpose was to find, train, and support viable candidates and contribute them to the political process. And once those leaders were elected, their first commitment should be to the Constitution, to the charter, not to a political party. I've been watching the political process in Spokane evolve. And I think what was symbolic out of this processing was watching, for the lack of a term, and this is an observation, not a criticism, of gerrymandering. And if we've reached the stage where the influence of political power is more important than public service, then I suggest that we go to a partisan form of government and call a spade a spade. Right now, the integrity of government is being questioned by the absence of, or the destruction of process. And it's not what your views are, it's standing up for those views and representing them. What concerns me, what went on to the process, it's an introduction of type of politics which I hope would never come to local government. Because 90% of what you do is not liberal or conservative. It's right and wrong, smart and dumb, and whether you can afford it or not. And just trying to make a basic city structure operate. And to me, what this process represents is the introduction of partisan politics. And if we're going to do that, then let's call a spade a spade. Other cities have done it. To close out my time, yes, I was on the city council 20 years ago. And in the first year, we passed the comprehensive plan, and the next year, we passed the centers and corridors. And what I appreciate about council members is you pass policies, but you don't implement them. And I watch administration after administration not implement the policies that would have dealt with the issues you talked about tonight. And that's a statement not just to the council, to the city council. 2 years ago, we had a meeting that asked you to sit down and study the issues involving the housing crisis, to gather the data.
Steve?
We begged you to do it. And I've run out of time.
I'd love to hear more
Thank
from you,
you.
but I have to follow the rules. Thanks. Thanks for your service. Justin Haller, and then Jennifer Thomas, and then Cindy Zapataki. Not seeing Justin. Jennifer, come on down.
Hello again. I am here, obviously, you all know, I was part of the redistricting board. I have two things that I want to share, and then one more question, because what would a good night be without another question? I am disappointed. I'm so disappointed. I'm disappointed that you appointed a board and gave them a job to do, and changed the process midstream and that you changed the process midstream. I think that if you didn't like the map that the redistricting board put forward, if you had issues with it, if you felt like that there were systemic pieces that needed to be fixed, you should have sent it back to the redistricting board. It shouldn't have been something where you modified the map, amended it, adopted a new map, and took the issue into your own hands. Counties across the state legislature, and other municipal governments, city governments, have followed this process of redistricting to date. And for some reason, Spokane County, or the city of Spokane, is the one that is having an issue with not liking the map that was forwarded to you and not wanting to follow the process. So I am disappointed that that the information that we were given as a board was somehow inaccurate or incomplete in order for us to accomplish the job that we were given to do. Second is villainizing me. It was never my goal to villainize anybody else on the board or who was appointed to give counsel. And to try to paint me in the picture of an elitist really irritates me, because I am a single mom of 4 kids. I am a survivor of domestic violence. I am part of the BIPOC community. I have experienced racism and discrimination, and I know what it looks and feels like. Okay, so my question, because my time is almost up, is did the community assembly conduct a vote, record it in their minutes, and request council or request you or give you a directive to merge the East Central, West Hills, and Riverside communities via redistricting? Because East Central has been split for 40 years, and this is the second process of redistricting that we have been through, that the city's been through, and for some reason, it became super significant that we do it this time. And so if they don't have it in their minutes, and it wasn't a directive to city council, then I think that following the RCW and the process that the city has followed the last 2 times is best practice, rather than letting agendas drive decisions. Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming down, Jennifer. Cindy, and then after Cindy, Dave M. by phone.
I'm Cindy Zapataki. I'm a resident of Spokane. You know, I have to agree with Steve Corker, with whom I'm working. I am the president of the Citizens Alliance for Property Rights in Spokane, and Steve and I are working together. He is representing the Landlord Association in many issues. I have to agree with Steve that the real danger here with this council is that you are dividing our community badly. You are hurting our community because of the way you do things. And I think it's pretty obvious. It's on both sides of the political spectrum. Because you are twisting the law, and you are badgering people that you don't like, and you are conniving to hurt the people in the community that you don't like. And I think this is very dangerous. Our government in this country has always been a government that I believe tried to uphold the Constitution and the standards of that of fairness, of honesty, of integrity, of really caring. And I see a problem with this council, frankly, just like Steve Corker does, and a lot of other people in this community. It's the way you do things and the way you treat people. You treat the people you like really good, and then you connive against and you manipulate to get your way against the people you don't like. And that's not right. That's not integrity. That's not what a government leader should be. So I'm disappointed too with the way this was done. And I really fear for our community because of that. And I just have to tell you the truth, that's how I feel. Thank you.
Thanks for coming down, Cindy. And then Dave M., if you're out there, if you want to hit *3.
Hello, Council. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you, Dave. Councilmember
Good evening,
Kinnear
City Council.
Dave, Councilmember Kinnear has requested knowing your last name.
I don't give out my last name. I'm Dave M. I've called in many, many times.
Oh, I know, but she was just curious. So,
okay.
Go ahead.
What I wanted to say tonight is the last meeting we didn't get to the open forum because time ran out over this issue that we're talking about now. Now, last week, over 85% of the people who spoke were in favor of MAP 1. I hope people are paying attention to what the council does, because with that overwhelming endorsement of MAP 1, the city council then decided to adopt MAP 2. So, I hope people are paying attention to what the council does, just like Cindy said, just like a couple of the others. And if you look at who's here, it's been, 5-1 in favor of MAP 1 over MAP 2. So once again, it's the city council being consistent, the majority, of not listening to the public. And that's all I have to say for tonight, and I hope everybody's paying attention. Thank you all.
Thank you, Dave.
Point of order.
Yep.
All the folks who are here in person, give their name and what city they're from. And I think it's only fair that the people online do the same. It's in our rules, and so having somebody say they refuse to give their last name is definitely an advantage over the people that are actually taking the time to show up, tell us who they are, and have the courage of their convictions. So I don't think we should accept that going forward.
Other people have comments about that? One
I
way or the
would
other?
agree.
I make the call in real.
motion to
No,
ban?
I'm just asking for feedback because I try to make the calls in real time and I don't want to have a
Well,
conversation in the middle of it.
I guess, I mean, we should treat everybody equally, but what I would say is, there are real threats to people who, give out their information, especially when you make a political statement, that there might be retaliation. So I think we have to take that into account, but it might require us modifying our rules to do so. But I think privacy is kind of important.
I do too, but I will flip that around and say, I feel threatened when somebody
But
speaks.
you ran for
and-
office.
Well, I know, but I mean, in this day and age and how things have changed, that I think it goes both ways.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I mean, people can give us whatever name they want. What we don't verify their
No,
identity.
of course not.
And so, I mean, I'm okay with a first name and a last initial if that's what they want to give. But I mean, like I said, if we require that they give first and last, then what's to say they give us their actual
Yeah,
name?
I know. It could be Donald Duck. I get it.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm just saying what's
Yeah.
fair for all of you out here.
Totally.
Should be
Yep.
fair for the people online.
I agree with that.
Any comments, council members Wilkerson or Zepone?
I agree. They can give us a bogus last name. It could be Joe Smith, and we wouldn't know because they're not signing in. We don't have an address, what city they live in. But truly, if you're that convicted of what you're saying, I think as a society, then we have to be willing to stand by what we're convicted of and speak up for that, which is what position we're put in. Yes, we are elected, but we're put in that position every day. And so, as citizens, respect goes both ways.
Yeah, I would just say we are elected publicly, and people choose to publicly testify at a meeting. If they don't want to publicly testify, they can come and comment in other ways.
Yeah. They can,
All right, that's helpful. Before the next meeting, I'll look at our rules and I'll know, at least I wanted to know your opinion, but not have that person just waiting for us to have that conversation. So
Right.
I thought I would just go with it today.
Thank you.
All right, so we are now council at ordinance 36298 as amended. We've had public comment, council commentary.
So I thought it would be good if I started off because today, this afternoon at 4:30, we received a letter from Rick Friedlander, who was the committee chair of the redistricting committee. Is that correct? And he has said that feel free to consider his testimony and to share this tonight. So I'm going to go ahead and read Rick's comments, and then we can go into everybody else's comments. To Spokane City Council members, please feel free to consider this as testimony, and you may quote from it at the meeting of November 7th. As a front row observer of the process of redistricting, I would like to lay out a few facts. Our process strove to be as inclusive of public sentiment as possible. This started out very slowly with our first town hall meeting on July 20th, having one person of the public testify. Thank you, Ann Murphy. Did she leave? Is she here? There she is. He says thank you. The second round of public input was in the form of thought exchange and visits with neighborhood councils, which advanced the desire of the neighborhoods to be unified within a district. Some of the maps we put out for public comment reflected that. The 4 maps selected represented the best of many versions we looked at. Please note, all maps were unanimously put forward to the public by the committee, not by any particular member or advisor. The designated council member, advisor to our committee, Mr. Zappone, did produce one that was the most elegant expression of the desire to keep neighborhoods intact and have each district have a piece of downtown. Please note, it is not his map. It is the committee's map. All 4 are viable options and meet the criteria of the statute, though it may be arguable that some do it better than others. The third wave of public input was from SurveyMonkey and testimony collected at the town hall on October 4th. This input was overwhelmingly in favor of Map 1, which the committee felt we could move forward with. In retrospect, I must say I was taken aback by how identical the words and phrases used by many who spoke or wrote. This caused me to be disappointed in observing that this apolitical task has been taken over by politics. I have no idea what input council members received between the time of our town hall and our decision to proceed with MAP 2 on October 24th. Finally, I have been asked how I feel about the council not proceeding with the recommendation of our committee. To that, I respond that we did the difficult work of exploring options and coming up with viable alternatives and collecting community input from which various publics at various times weighed in on, first to the committee and then to the council members. The redistricting committee had the responsibility to make a recommendation, which was done at City Council meeting on October 24th. At that point, our work was done. The City Council has the authority to decide which, if any, of the options we put forward will be used in this round of redistricting. I trust them to complete this task. Respectfully, Rick Friedlander. Thank you.
Councilmember Kafka.
Yeah, a couple things. I say quite a bit when we last heard this, so I won't go on for too long. But just a couple things I wanted to share. I worry a lot about, obviously, the map choice that's been put in front of us for a couple of reasons. One, and I just have some very strong disagreements with others on this, I don't think you gain power by losing votes. I just don't. And I think this is disrespectful, frankly, to the East Central neighborhood, who has had a majority representation for 40 years, and now we're taking that away from them. We're taking away from them that majority representation, leaving them with 2 votes. So they'll still have 2, but they will no longer have 4 votes on this dais representing them. And I think that that's concerning to me, because that's a neighborhood that will continue to need a lot of support going into the future, especially in light of the things that they are dealing with right in this very moment, right now. Very, very difficult things that are going to have a long-lasting impact on that neighborhood. So that's a concern. Also, it has the lowest population of the 3 districts. Because again, these are not equal, not even close, but it has the lowest population of the 3 districts, District 1. And that's a concern for me because, one, that's the way it is today. I don't think that's fair. We also have the lowest turnout. We also have the lowest number of registered voters. And what does that mean? Why does that matter? Well, it matters for political power. It matters to have impact, to have input. There are citywide, obviously aspects of city government, and more votes means more power. It might be small, it might be a very small amount, but that is important. So to craft something that just kind of perpetuates this situation that we have been dealing with for so long is not the right way to go, I don't believe. I don't think it's fair to District 1 at all. I don't think this map is fair to District 1. I'll be clear on that. The second point I'm going to make is I think we need to make some changes in law, because never, ever, ever again should the fox be in charge of the hen house. This is absolutely wrong. So I would like to see a charter amendment and or state law changes so that any governing body, it shouldn't just be our local city government, but any governing body should never be able to put their hands on the boundaries, ever, ever, ever. That is just wrong. That is literally the fox guarding the hen house, and that's not what we want. We want fairness. We want independence. And that's what I love about Washington State's system, right? We have always had this system that I think is something you can trust and have confidence in because of the fact that you have to have consensus to come out of that. 3 of the 4 at the state and county levels, 3 of the 4 have to agree. That is brilliant. That means bipartisanship, that means consensus, that means people are compromising, coming together, finding a way to make it happen. But in this situation, obviously it's a little different. Our charter lays out a slightly different method. It's clearly not working. It's become politicized, and now we've had our hands on it. And, you know, that doesn't necessarily lend itself to confidence for voters, confidence for the public going forward, for a whole lot of things. So that has to change. So going forward, obviously I'm voting no on this tonight. I would like us to go back to the other map, but as we've been told by our attorneys, we don't have the time to do that. So we are sort of stuck. So barring something, other outcome, this is the map that's going to go forward. I will vote no on it. I don't think it's the right map. But going forward, I am going to push hard for changes that protect the integrity of the process. That should be a focal point, protecting the integrity of the process.
Other comments? Councilmember Wilkerson.
Thank you. I put in the substitution to map 2, and as I listened last week to the comments, I heard from people who lived in the neighborhoods, and I heard a lot from people who did not live in those neighborhoods, many who did not even live in the city of Spokane. To me, that is not the representation I want. As I also looked at the lines, we've been hearing the term gerrymandering a lot. Well, I looked at the line as redlining. If you looked at the original map 1, where that boundary goes is like almost the original redlining of the East Central neighborhood. So as our city has grown and with an understanding of racial justice, I thought map 2 is the most effective. Yes, there have been 4 council members representing East Central, but I can't say over the years that all 4 have been engaged. We're fortunate that this time around we got Councilmember Cathcart and Bingle, but historically, I don't know if that's been true. I don't think so. And when they're gone, will that be true again? I don't know. So the commitment of 2 council members in that neighborhood makes the most sense. The neighbors know who they go to. We can look at the history. 4 council members divided that neighborhood. And that's just the truth. So you have a East Central that's on the north side of the freeway and the East Central on the south side of the freeway. You have the business district, you have the residential, but the 2 don't truly work together. So as we go forward, I'm listening to the people who actually live there, who will actually be impacted by my vote, as long as I'm representing that district, and for council members to come, not from people who do not live outside of the city. And for it to be politicized, when we start hearing about precincts, I'm thinking, where'd that come from? We were looking at neighborhoods, and somebody says, well, we were looking at precincts. My mind never even went to looking at precincts. It was about keeping neighborhood councils together, strengthening those neighborhoods, empowering them with the support they need going forward. So yes, I'll be supporting this map. Again, it was said because the line is not straight and perpendicular, does that mean gerrymandering? And I will tell folks, I was a little offended because both sides have gerrymandered folks of color. So I'll just put that out there right now. So going forward, I support map 2 and look at it closely. Map 1 is redlining.
Can I just?
Councilmember Cathcart.
Yeah, I just want to be clear. we shouldn't conflate housing policy with redistricting. So I've brought up redlining a number of times. In fact, that's the reason why we have approved a massive, one of the boldest housing changes in the entire country, is to combat that sort of thing. Redistricting has no bearing on housing policy, land use policy, any of that. So I don't want to conflate that. The precinct issue, most people use Dave's redistricting app to do their redistricting modeling. That uses precincts. That's why that word is out there.
Thank you, Councilmember Cathcart. I'm sorry, Council
Go ahead.
President. I just have to respond to that. I'm sorry, and please, this is just me. That was a point of privilege and power that redlining is not part of this. It's housing. Yes, it is. But it's also been discrimination, and it's been impacted in all of our policies. And to sit here and say that that doesn't matter, I don't buy it, because it does. You ask the people in that neighborhood, it matters.
Okay, hold on. Redlining matters. Okay,
Redline-
that's not what we're saying.
redlining, yes.
But to conflate the redistricting process with housing policy doesn't make sense.
No, but it's
They're two different
representation.
things.
It's representation, Councilmember Cathcart.
And we can have 4 votes representing them to stop redlining.
Other council commentary? Go ahead, Councilmember Bingle.
I'm afraid to talk.
Yeah, I do. I guess I'll speak on East Central a little bit as well, and then get into some other points. East Central will be losing some representation in when it comes to council members on this council, people focused on the issues of that neighborhood. If you ask East Central, you are going to have different opinions in that neighborhood. For example, ways that Councilman Cathcart and I think represent East Central well are on how are we addressing the direct impacts that are happening right now from Camp Hope. Those are ways that people's voices are not being heard because we're not addressing those. And Councilman Cathcart and I help to bring voice to people who would disagree with some others representing that neighborhood on that particular issue. When it comes to a police precinct in that neighborhood, when it comes to a municipal court building that's probably going to go in there, that's is going to have a night jail. I mean, those are ways that we also get to help represent East Central. And I don't think that diminishes East Central in any way, like Councilman Cathcart said. I think that actually helps to bring a lot of voice to a diverse array of opinions in that neighborhood. And I think that is a true benefit to East Central. We've talked a lot about a politicized process, and when did it become politicized? And frankly, it became politicized when an elected official submitted 6 maps, when a politician proposed maps that directly benefited them. That's when the process was politicized, not after different groups got involved and said, whoa, this is too much, we shouldn't be doing this. So when it comes to the politicized process, we're pointing at the public testimony if that's when it became politicized. It was politicized long before that. Now, today, the question before us isn't, is this allowable, right? I think clearly within the law, this is allowable. But the question before us is, should we do this? That's the big question, because right now in the United States, we have a crisis of belief in fair elections. We should be doing everything in our power to empower our elections and ensure their fairness and transparency. We have folks like President Donald Trump saying that the 2020 election was stolen from him. We have people like Hillary Clinton in 2016 saying the exact same thing. Stacey Abrams, the same thing. You have people all over the place saying that elections were stolen. We have a crisis of belief in our election system. We as a body should be doing everything in our power to ensure that our elections are fair and transparent. I don't believe that we're doing that tonight. And it's not just one process, right? Council members Apone and I, earlier this year, were going to co-sponsor legislation that would change the way that people could donate to elections here to remove the restrictions that were placed on it, to bring it back up to code with state law. The big disagreement that we had, and the reason why I decided not to co-sponsor it again, was because it allowed unions to donate to political campaigns, but not contractors with the city. Now, if you look at those two groups, they tend to favor different political ideologies. This isn't a one-time deal. This is something that has happened multiple times now, where it seems as if we are politically favoring one group over another. And so this process has been politicized basically my entire time on this council. And I think that we should be doing everything in our power to make our elections process as above reproach as possible to avoid the very appearance of evil. And I don't believe that we're doing that tonight. And it is one of the times that I have been, it's probably the most disappointed I've been in this council.
Councilmember Kinnear, do you have anything? Okay. Councilmember Zepone.
Yeah, thank you. I wanted to take the second to set the record straight because there's been a lot of misinformation about my involvement in the process. While every single meeting has been publicly recorded and posted and every map has been publicly posted, I think people should be asking themselves, why is this being this misinformation being spread? So first, I was appointed by council to serve on the advisory commission as a non-voting member. We all did that. That's the way the city charter has it set up. The commission had 2 initial outreach goals that we heard from the public: keep neighborhood councils together and then split up downtown. So at the invitation of the chair, I made maps as a member of the council, or as a member of the commission. When it was brought up at the meeting that one member was worried about me submitting a map and other council members not having the chance, the chair continued to say, no, I would like to see Zach's maps. Please show those maps. And I said, I didn't have to show them, but it was requested by the chair to have my maps shown. It was also pointed out that any council member at any time could submit maps. Others did not choose to. My map was identical to other maps submitted by other commission members. So it is not my map. It's identical to multiple maps by multiple people on the commission, and in fact, voted on unanimously by 3 people, not including anybody from council, to be a finalist. At the next meeting, when there was a town hall, the commission received a lot of feedback that was organized by a political party to turn out votes, or to organize people to testify in support of a map. I was not at that meeting. At that point, I did not participate in the process anymore. So council heard more feedback. They made a decision. I abstained from that vote. So I just think it's important to point out that maps don't determine who wins elections. Voters determine who win elections. It's about who you are as a candidate, how you campaign, and how you serve your community. The exact same map elected council members Amber Waldriff, Mike Fagan, Kate Burke, and Jonathan Bingle. Those are people widely across the political spectrum. A map does not determine who wins an election. So I'm going to abstain tonight because there's been too much attention on me in the process, so I'm going to continue to abstain, but I wanted to make that clear about my involvement in the process.
Councilmember Bingle.
All right, so we didn't submit maps. And the reason why is because it would have been incredibly improper for a council member to draw a map that directly benefits them. It is unethical. I mean, it's really, really gross stuff. That's the reason why we didn't submit maps, not because we didn't have the same opportunity. We did, but it's just wrong. We shouldn't have done it. When it comes to your map was identical to everybody's, then why did Rick Friedlander in his statement say Zach's was the most elegant? In his statement that we read tonight, Zach's was the most elegant. Not the committee's was the most elegant, Zach's. And it's important to note, if you do go back and watch the testimonies, Zach does say, I would like to argue for my map again, specifically speaking about this map. That's important. And when it comes to candidates determining elections, I hear what you're saying, but it's really hard for a Republican to win governor of California. So when we're talking about the candidate, you can have a great candidate, but also the demographics absolutely matter in that election.
Councilmember Kinnear.
Just to finish that quote, Mr. Sapone did produce one that was the most elegant expression of the desire to keep neighborhoods intact and have each district have a piece of downtown. Please note, it is not his map. It is the committee's map. It's pretty darn clear.
Go ahead.
The committee adopted Zach's maps as one of its 4 that it was going to put forward. Zach drew the map, Zach fought for the map, Zach determined the map. So to say that it was the committee's map is semantics. This directly came from one individual. It was adopted by a committee, but it came from one individual.
This is an email that we got. This is his interpretation.
Yes.
You're making another interpretation.
And I will just note, since I was also by the charter, have to be on the committee there, Heather Beebe Stevens had the same map, and Jennifer Thomas at our meeting said that she had the same map. So it started being called Zach's map, but it was the same for all three of them.
Jennifer Thomas has corrected that statement because she did not have the same map.
Okay. That's what she said. Okay, all right. You're not testifying right now, but that's,
Yeah.
but Heather Beebe Stevens had, my recollection, almost identical map, if not identical, but Councilmember Wilkerson.
Again, my only observation comment is it was an advisory committee. They submitted 4 maps. It was an advisory committee. They were not the ones designated to determine the map that was chosen. That was not their role. They solicited input. They put forth maps. They made a recommendation, but it was just a recommendation to council. And then based on the feedback that we got, or I'll speak for myself, the feedback that I got, then I chose a different map to support. So again, the role of the committee and the role of council, it is 2 different things.
Could I elaborate on what you just said? And that is, we have a lot of different committees and commissions and so forth that are advisory. In fact, very few are actually making decisions. They are advisory. A plan commission, for example, is an advisory body. So we're used to that. Somebody has to make a final decision. We're empowered to do so, as you just pointed out. This is not an unusual situation where somebody's advisory, and frequently, or not infrequently, Plan Commission will come to us and say, this is what we recommend, and we will amend it or say, thanks, but we don't agree. So it is not an unusual thing for us not to accept an advisory from, I think this is going to be a debate, from a commission or a committee.
I have a question.
Okay, Councilmember Stratton and then Councilmember Cathcart.
So we're talking ethics, we're talking doing the right thing, not doing the right thing. So I guess my question is, I think we have a few lawyers in the room. So our mayor sent out a big mailing requesting people to show up tonight to vote against council map. She says things that Brian Beggs is grabbing power and Zach Sapone won his race by only 273 votes. Every election, we are told this is the most important election of our lifetime to date. Make sure, and then she tells everybody to vote. But it goes on, and it's, if we're going to start saying things are unethical and people aren't behaving well, this was just sent to me, and I have never seen it, but it's pretty bold in the comments. And it says the final vote takes place this Monday at the regular council meeting. Although the majority on the council seems to have made up their minds, it's not a done deal. If you haven't already done so, please let the city council know what you think by emailing them. Then she's talking about a veto. The council president's smoke and mirrors attempt to defund the police by diverting funds it goes on and on. So if we're going to talk ethics, then we need to bring this stuff in too.
I'm happy to have that conversation.
Yep,
Yeah.
I would enjoy
Councilmember
that.
Cathcart.
Yes, just really quick. So referencing this as an advisory-only board, it's true, the charter does defer to the council to adopt a final map, and it does give council that ability. But I believe if you read through sections 59 and 60 of the city charter, it's very clear that it is far more than just an advisory. It basically says that the redistricting board is the one that accomplishes the redistricting process. And it also says that if we decide at that mid-year point, which we still can do, that we want to modify the lines again, we establish a redistricting board who will again make those decisions. So it's more than advisory, but the charter, yes, does defer to this body as making the decision. And that is what as I said earlier, that I believe we need to change, because again, that just should not fall to us. It should never fall to the governing body that ultimately is bound by those boundaries.
Any other commentary?
No, I'm really done.
Okay.
Really done now.
All right. Well, I hadn't said anything, but
Okay.
Councilmember Zapone has a
Yeah, it's kind of throwing it back to the multiple maps submitted, but I wanted to be clear about why there were multiple maps submitted. I submitted another map that also kept neighborhoods together, but it went all the way up into Logan from District 2 and did other things that the commission did not think was right or was beneficial, and it didn't match the other goals of it. So I submitted maps, and the commissioners, all three of them voted it forward, not me. I was not there as voting on it. And there were 6 maps to be transparent about different options and the thinking process behind that. Also, I'm in the mood of setting the record straight. I'd like to point out I won by 262 votes, and there's been a lot of different numbers thrown out there. So let's set the record straight.
Thank you for that.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm just going to be brief because I already spoke before, but we did follow the process as set out in the charter. The Redistricting Commission did the outreach. They engaged. They identified the issues early on, which is keeping neighborhood councils together and hopefully having parts of downtown shared in the districts. They solicited lots of input. They came up with 4 recommendations, all of them which passed muster under state law, and they've brought those forward. They got comments. They chose one, and just like every other commission that comes to us and brings us something that they want us to do, we have to make the final decision. You know, ironically, a year ago, a different commission came to us and said, we want you to cut off natural gas starting next year for new hookups. And we said no, 7-0. We said, no, we're not going to take that recommendation. We don't think that's the right thing for the city. So the bottom line, city council under our law has to make that decision because we are accountable to the voters to do that. And if they don't like our decisions, they can vote us out if we choose to stand for election. So I really appreciate the conversation. I think there probably is room for further discussion instead of once every 10 years because once every 10 years means almost impossible that any of us will be at it. And so there probably are some lessons learned. Mostly, though, I think there are lessons of expectation of people, as we heard tonight, conflating the state and the county process, which is partisan and is for political parties, with our nonpartisan races, which are not. Prepare to vote.
Wait, can you change it? I meant to abstain.
Oh.
Get busy clicking.
You hit the wrong color.
Yeah.
All right, we'll try again.
Council President, point of order again. I would like to make this point. We can only abstain in our rules if there's a direct personal benefit.
No, you can abstain if there's a reason. You have to explain it to us. And it's the way it works is I make a ruling as chair whether it's acceptable or not. If council majority overrules me, that's the thing. So so your point of order is it appropriate for him to
Correct,
abstain? I'm
yes.
interpreting that.
Yes.
Then I'm going to say I accept that is a reasonable reason to abstain. But if you would like to have a vote of council on that,
I would like a vote of council on that.
you got a
Yep.
I'll second.
Okay. All those
What do we-
who want to vote not to allow council members opponent to abstain, say.
What?
Well, first of all, we'll have any discussion.
Yeah.
So the motion is to require, or to keep,
To require me to
find
vote.
that his reasons for abstaining are not sufficient.
Yes.
That is the motion.
Yes.
To make that finding.
And to do that, we vote yes.
I mean, he could vote no, too. Yeah.
No,
No,
Yeah.
on the motion.
On the
The
motion.
motion
Oh,
would
yes.
be,
Yeah, yeah.
if you say he cannot abstain, you would vote yes. If you think he can abstain, you would vote no.
got it.
Is there any discussion further on that? So, all those in favor of the motion, vote aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed,
Nay.
nay. Okay. All right. So that didn't pass, but record duly noted.
So who voted nay on that? Who was nay?
I did.
Okay.
I
Usual
abstain.
suspects.
Yeah. Say what?
The usual suspects.
Okay. So now everyone's ready. Prepare to vote. Okay. So it passes 4 to 2 to 1. All right. That's the end of our legislative session matters. We have open forum. We have 12 minutes. I'm just going to go in order of people, but we're going to end at 9:30 unless people vote to extend.
How many people are for open forum?
I think it's 9.
9 people.
We can do it.
30 minutes.
We can do it.
I'd move to accept them all if we wanted.
Okay, there's a motion. There's a second?
Second.
Are they all here?
We don't
Let
know.
me read,
Could be the surprise.
well, let me read your names and raise your hand if you're here and just leave it up so we can count. Sunshine, you still here? Sunshine's here. Darlene Engel. I don't see Darlene. Rick Bocook. William Healings. Will. Sherry Barnett. Justin Haller.
He's gone.
Cindy Zapataki. Claudia. I think Claudia's
Claudia
gone.
left. She's gone.
And Dave M by phone.
7.
We can do it.
All right, we can get it back.
Or limit it to 2 minutes, then we can get it done.
So there's a amendment to the motion to extend to 2 minutes each?
I accept.
Okay,
It was my motion, though, so.
okay,
Okay.
all right. Oh, wait, no, you didn't. It's your motion.
I made the motion.
Okay, sorry. He's
Yeah.
lying to me.
Yeah, it's 5 people. We're talking 5 minutes. I would deny the motion, but
Okay, so you're not going to, well, okay. There is a motion to amend, so
Right.
it's not accepted as friendly,
Right,
to
right.
2 minutes.
Okay,
Is
never
there a
mind.
second to that?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion on the motion to
minutes.
amend? All right. All those in favor of the motion to amend to extend, but with 2 minutes limits,
Aye.
say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
3.
We're getting,
I'm going to say aye as well. Okay. And those opposed, nay?
nay.
Nay. Okay. So we'll
Is there
extend.
a second name?
me and Councilman Stratton.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, that was just to amend. Now it's the motion. Now it's on the motion. Any further discussion on the motion itself? Okay. All those in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, nay. Okay. We're extending.
I'm not even sure what.
So, Sunshine, come on up.
Okay. 2 minutes.
Yeah, 2 minutes each. And then, yeah, so it ends when it turns yellow. Rick Bocook's next, and then Will Hewling. Welcome, Sunshine. Thanks
Hi,
for.
guys. So, last month was Domestic Violence Awareness Month, obviously. A lot of women, I think, feel, and men that are in domestic violence, don't want to leave them out, that when they leave their partner, that they need to, if it's, the person had abused prior people and it's documented, sometimes the people feel like they need to say to the next potential victim, hey, he has a lot of this history. And I think that, you know, like, that's been a huge heartstring when I left domestic violence. And it took a really good advocate to tell me that it's not my responsibility. But sometimes I still feel like it is, because we don't have Tina's Law, where I could look up, hey, he had all these restraining orders against him. Because I did do a background check on him, but I didn't see the restraining orders. And if I would have known, this guy, he's got this history. And I think I came here to speak to you guys on something totally different, but this was just a heartstring when I was at a memorial today, because I visit memorial sites of domestic violence victims. And it was just a tug on my heart to talk about that, to where other people can hear that they are not the only ones that feel like they have that heartstring to want to warn the next person. And I know that Tina's Law is, you know, where it's at and stuff, and I just wanted to speak on that today and say thank you guys for letting me speak, because when I come here, I feel like my city supports me, because you guys are supporting the programs that lifted me out of domestic violence. And without that, I would not have made it. So I just wanted to come here and say thank you, and thank you to the state people who made the laws too.
Thank you so much for coming down.
Thank you.
And then I said it, but Darlene Engel, don't see Darlene. So Rick Bocook after Rick, Will Hewling.
So the cat fight caused me to have 2 minutes now. Damn. And I'm going to start signing my name Harp Manhatter, since I heard the discussion about not being able to say, so I'm going to start, and you can look that up on Google, so you're okay. But I'm letting you know, since you guys can't agree on names, I'm going to start signing my name, Hart Manhattan. And a couple weeks ago, I talked about the constitutional oath, and said what would happen at Camp Hope. I says, you know, you keep violating the Constitution, the oath takers, and there's going to be a lawsuit with pro bono attorneys. Sure enough, it happened. And what's beautiful about this lawsuit, though, is that it talks about the First Amendment, the Fourth Amendment, the Fifth Amendment, the Eighth Amendment, the 14th Amendment. So you get an education now about these amendments, people that take the oath. Because what people that take the oath of the Constitution, they usually just read the Constitution, but they don't read constitutional law, they don't read the definitions and stuff like that. So now you get a little bit of interpretation about your oath. The Fifth Amendment's a really good one. Our former president declared that 450 times, pleaded the Fifth, but the Fifth Amendment in this lawsuit relates to guilt by association. So what we have here is we have a sheriff and a police chief and probably various other people that take the oath, and they'll say, these people are criminals. We're going to clear this camp. In the process of clearing the camp, they would be violating the Fifth Amendment. They would be violating the Fourth Amendment too. So pay attention to the oath of the Constitution, because when an oath taker violates it, even in talking, lawsuits can happen. All that money you talk about over here gets taken, and it's taxpayer money.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming down, Rick. Will, after Will is Sherry Barnett, and then Cindy.
Good evening again. My name is Will. I live in downtown Spokane. Speaking of oath keeper, what he just called us, oath keepers. Well, I've been one since the age of 18, 1994. But I wanted to speak about something that's important to me, because Friday is November 11th, and that's Veterans Day. So something I noticed in Spokane, we do a lot of proclamations for a lot of different things, but I've never really, maybe, I don't know, maybe I could be wrong, but is there one for veterans, maybe the whole month of November? And the reason why I'm saying this is because tomorrow we have important elections. And I hope everybody gets out and votes, because speaking of veterans, it's veterans that have given people that right to vote. I mean, we served, we've died. My father served, my grandfather, I served honorably. But something else that really makes me mad is this guy that never served his life, his name's Joe Biden, said that there's a threat to democracy. He's called people like me extremists. I've got up here and I spoke about this before, but I'm just somebody that loves my country. I'm a service-connected veteran. I'm missing part of my body. You guys don't know that, but I am. I go to the VA hospital. But I got more things I need to speak about, Brianne Beggs, because I remember November of 2019. I got disrespected on Veterans Day in front of City Council, but I will speak about that again next time.
Thanks for coming down, Will. Cindy, oh, wait, sorry, Sherry, sorry, and then Cindy.
President Beggs and all members of the City Council, Sherry Barnett, live in Spokane. I remember my husband loved to watch movies of cowboys and gunfights. And you know, in all the time I watched it over my shoulder because I didn't like TV, I never saw one of those darn cowboys throw their gun down and say, "This is a horrible practice, and I'm not going to participate in it." And I have seen this city council decide that they should collect extra money for oil tankers and for coal trucks and for airplanes that flew over. Your job is not the city, not the defense, not the production of energy, not the destruction of dams. You'd be way better off if you outlawed fentanyl, meth, heroin. These are killing kids right now. Things that are practical, things that are here and now. And I know, I mean, it's a good thought not to have nuclear weaponry. It's a horrible thought, but I read the Bible, and it looks to me like it's going to happen. In Ezekiel, the 37th, 38th chapter, it looks to me like it is going to happen. And everything else that God has said is going to happen has happened. Don't try to run more than Spokane. Thank you.
Thanks, Sherry. Cindy, and then one last call for Claudia and Justin. I don't see them here. And then Dave M. on the phone.
Thank you for letting me speak. Cindy Zapataki, resident of Spokane. I wanted to stand up when you were about to take your vote against nuclear weapons in Spokane, which I think is representational of your view of that. I want to point out that there is no country on the face of the earth that has shed more blood in wars for freedom than the United States. 5,000 soldiers died in World War II. 36,000 died in the Korean War, and 58,000 died in Korea. Those are American lives. Blood was shed because there is nothing that Americans value more than peace. And one of the reasons that this world is peaceful is because of the sacrifice of our citizens and veterans like Will, who should be we should be grateful for. We've shed more blood than any other country for other countries. When Germany and Japan attacked our country and took the lives of Americans, we fought them and gave those numbers, and then we gave them back their countries. Japan's an independent country today, so is Germany. The United States gave back the countries they defeated who attacked them. So today in Ukraine, as you were taking your vote, thousands of people are being butchered. Their eyes are being gouged out. Their fingers are being cut off before they're murdered in the streets. And if Vladimir Putin is allowed to go further, he will take Poland, and then he will take Norway, and then he will take Italy. He's on the move with his Russian military, and you just made a vote in disdain for what keeps him from doing that. It is the nuclear arsenal of the United States that stops him from going into Poland, into Norway,
Cindy,
into Denmark.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Dave M., if you're there, if you want to hit *3. All right. We're not seeing you, Dave. So, all right, that brings us to the end of open forum. Thanks, everyone. Yes, please make sure that you vote, and anyone that you know votes. Take care of yourself, and if you can't, take care of someone else. We're adjourned.